shukrani zangu pokea, pokea, shukrani zangu pokea, pokea, shukrani zangu pokea, pokea, shukrani zangu pokea.
Machozi yananitoka nikiketi chini nifikirie umbali nilikotoka, hata sijui vipi nisimulie. Mwema, umekuwa mwema kwangu, tena umekuwa nguzo yangu we. Umenifunza subira, ukanizingira kando na kando, tena wanisikia nikianguka waninua. Sasa mahitaji naweka kando, sitasahau mema, na ningependa ujue vile moyo nafurahishwa nawe. Maneno yananiishia, umenishangaza kwa matendo yako, vile wanikumbatia, sina lingine lilobakia.
Shukrani zangu pokea,
sina budi nipokee.
Shukrani zangu pokea,
kwa uaminifu wako.
Shukrani zangu pokea,
kwa matendo yako makuu.
Shukrani zangu pokea.
Ni wewe ulinifunza ati shida ni mtumwa wangu, tena ukanifanya mwana ndani ya ufalme wako. Neno lako ni taa, hata kwa giza nimulikiwe. Tena wewe ni jiwe, nikianguka nishikiliwe. Matendo yako yameninyamazisha, siwezi laumu. Mkono wako wa kiume umenishindia magumu, na kila mara wanikumbuka kwa mipango yako miema. Yale mabaya waniondolea, unaniwazia mema. Maneno yananiishia, umenishangaza kwa matendo yako, vile wanikumbatia, sina lingine lilobakia.
Shukrani zangu pokea,
sina budi nipokee.
Shukrani zangu pokea,
kwa uaminifu wako.
Shukrani zangu pokea,
kwa matendo yako makuu.
Shukrani zangu pokea, pokea, shukrani zangu pokea,
sina budi nipokee.
Shukrani zangu pokea,
kwa uaminifu wako.
Shukrani zangu pokea,
kwa matendo yako makuu.
Shukrani zangu pokea.
KBC Channel 1 imeandaa vipindi spesheli katika mwezi mtukufu wa Ramadan mwaka huu kwa ajili yako.
Allahu Akbar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Kando na ukumbi wa Kiislamu na hutuba ya Ijumaa, kutakuwa na makala yanayoangazia maswala ya funga, mawaidha,
whosoever witnesses the month of Ramadan, then he should fast.
Vipindi vya mapishi.
Katika mapishi ya Ramadhani tutatayarisha pilau ya korosho. Utahitaji viazi, vitunguu vinne vikubwa na zabibu
na kaswida mbalimbali.
Ramadan gana.
Pia tumekuandalia kalenda ya Ramadhan ili kukuweka kwenye mstari wa mbele katika funga yako. Tazama runinga ya KBC Channel 1 katika mwezi huu mtukufu wa Ramadhan ili kukuza na kuhifadhi imani yako.
This is a very exciting moment, not just for Naivasha, not just for the county of Nakuru, but also for Kenya.
Okay, ready? Ready.
This thing is crazy. I mean, the sheer speed, you can hardly see the road. These guys are really professional. It's really something out of this world. Ask me whether I want to do this again? I'm not sure.
Kwa majina naitwa Anthony Mzee Obala. Hiki ni kikundi ambacho tulianza 2009. Nilikuwa na ile morali ya mpira, nikasema wacha nichukulie dimension ya mpira na niangalie kama naweza kuza talanta. Kwa sababu ukipata pale juu, si ati mtu atakuwa amejua kucheza mpira pale juu pasipo kupitia hapa chini. So kwanza tuangazie grassroots, na hapo ndio mbali niko. Na mbali na kuangazia grassroots kucheza, tunafundisha vijana vile wanaweza ishi, kubadilisha tabia na pia kujaribu kuangazia mambo ya conflicts. Tulianza na watoto wa miaka 12 na 14, watoto karibu 40. Sasa kama hapa pale tuko, tuna vijana kuanzia miaka 10 hadi 24, 5 na watoto zaidi ya 150. Kwa wale ambao nilianza nao saizi, kuna wale ambao wako Gor Mahia, kama kuna huyo Mala, kuna ule John Ochieng ambaye saizi ameenda Zambia, kuna Toby Otieno ambaye yuko USA saizi, kuna Maingi ambaye ni polisi saizi, anacheza polisi. Then wasichana pia kuna msichana ambaye yuko Viga Queens, Zitek ina wasichana 4. Majority of them wako Kisumu All Stars hapa hivi. Na pia katika hiyo timu ya under 18 kuna mmoja pia ametoka hapa yuko kwa hiyo timu. So tunaweza sema wachezaji karibu 50 kwenda juu wako mahali na wanaweza weka chakula kwa meza. Mpira ikiisha ni wapi unaenda? Lazima ukuwe na kitu ya kujishikilia. Na pia wale wako mtaani pale, maybe ambao wachezi mpira, wawe na mahali pao pia ambao wanaweza kuja kufanya vitu walizoweza fanya ili kujisaidia. Tukawa pia tunafungua sekta ya photography na film. Wale ambao tulianza nao kwa film, tayari saizi wameform organization yao inaitwa Naweza. Then kuna vijana wa karibu 7 saizi wanajifundisha DJing. Na tunania kuwa baada ya muda tutakuwa tumeleta mabadiliko katika jamii. Nitashukuru kwa sababu waziri pia alikuwa hapa na akatuambia wanaenda kutuingiza sisi tutakuwa kama Satellite Academy ya Talanta Hela upande huu. Ni program nzuri ambayo inalenga vijana chipukizi. Kama youth wetu, kama kuna talanta, tuende polepole, tuweze kusikiza, tuwe na nidhamu na waweze kujua maisha si ati vile iko tu itakuwa hivyo, lakini tunaweza ibadilisha.
Karibu sana to the program. It's 12th day of March 2024. Karibu to Good Morning Kenya. Happy that you are up and early with us once again. My name is Victor Olo. As usual, please talk to us on our social media handles. Mine is at Victor Olo on all social media handles. Please talk to us. I'm just taking a look at a story here on the front page of the Standard newspaper. And we've talked about mental health here, ladies and gentlemen. We've talked about mental health on this station for the longest time we can always remember. And Vivian, good morning.
Good morning.
That story there.
It's a really.
I mean, it touched your heart from the look of things.
It's a bizarre one, you know, when you get to hear of someone killing the other because of love, you know. And the crazy bit about this particular story is that the man had actually alerted the DCI, and you know, he had put it on social media that
actually
he was going
tagged
to
newsrooms.
He tagged newsrooms, he tagged the DCI and said that I am going to kill, you know, because this woman has done this and that and this and that. The lady was cheating on him, you know, and they had a kid together, and he had warned on social media that he was going to do it, and then after a couple of days he actually did it and went back to social media and said it is done. You know?
Rest in peace, my love, and all that. I'm following you. And that's exactly what he did.
He hanged himself.
Vivian, you've talked about mental health on this very set. I mean, what can you conclude at looking at that story?
It's so unfortunate, you know, and nothing justifies, you know, taking the life of the other and even taking your own life. It is illegal. But I feel like we need to shout more about mental health. I don't know if we're doing enough about it, and specifically men's mental health, because I feel like that is normally overlooked. You know, for a guy to come out and say that, you know, I'm hurt because of this and that, we don't really take them seriously, you know. And then for men, you don't really talk. For us ladies, we'll sit, you know, gossip, talk about our issues, laugh about it, cry about it.
You'll hardly find a man talking about his problems.
Exactly.
You'll hardly find a man finding help in as far as their mental health is concerned. And it's alarming. And this case indicates how serious it is to open up to someone. However hard the situation is, please open up to someone. You'd never know. It may be the thing that you need to help you calm down and look at things from a very sober perspective.
There is something called conversation.
Yes.
You know, in the beginning, there was word. It's as simple as such. In fact, during the creation, God used to create everything just by word. Let's create, and everything used to happen. So in the beginning, there was a word. Marie, we can just finalize this from your end as you take us to the news, right? It's time. Once you have a bottle of soda, whichever brand you want, and then you shake it. After shaking it, then you blow off or open the lid. We all know the reaction. There is that particular brand of, you know, soda that usually behaves like that. That's akin to having the kind of problems that we have, and we bottle it. We incubate it, and then at some point we definitely and almost all of a sudden open the lid. We know the reaction. Marie?
Yeah, exactly. It's pressure. Isn't it?
Pressure.
Yeah, and you know, I've been in the field of health for the longest time, you know, reporting on health issues and all that. And what I've come to appreciate and understand is that mental health is not that straightforward. You know, I wouldn't blame anybody, by the way. If they take their lives, I'm not talking about somebody else taking somebody else's life, but it's a very complicated thing. It is not straightforward. I mean, do you know how someone feels taking their life? Like hanging yourself with a belt? The pain that you go through? It's not easy. So in my, you know, covering health issues, talking to people with mental health issues, it is not straightforward. These people, it's a cry for help. Actually, when this person was talking to, or putting it on social media, people probably were making fun of it. They were like, a cry, you know, why not go ahead and do it? What are you telling us? It's a cry for help. So my parting shot on this issue of mental health, number one, don't belittle it. When someone is talking about, whether you want to believe them or not, just give them the benefit of doubt. So do not dismiss them. Do not say you can go ahead and do it. just reach out to the next available, whatever person who can help them, but get help for such a person.
Yeah.
Mental health is not straightforward. Why am I saying this? Because I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert in this, but there is something called, your neurotransmitters and all those things. So when you get into depression, there are chemicals in your brain, and there's a way that they balance and they work. The minute serotonin goes down, it is serotonin that gives you and me energy in the morning, the way we are right now, having energy and all that. But if that is affected because of stress and many other things that life throws at you,
it shuts you down.
Then it will shut you down.
Yeah.
So do not take mental health easy. Do not take it for granted. If you're feeling a certain type of way, if you've lost interest in the things that you used to do, you feel like life is hopeless for you, that's an indication right there. And I will say this as as my parting shot, and this is more so to our friends and families. If you see your family member or friend has changed in one way or another, don't say they're moody. Just try and find out what is happening with them. And the other thing, I also think in our employment arena or, environment, sometimes it's dismissed and you're like, oh, he's a drunkard. Nowadays, he's taking, alcohol too much and all that. Those are signs that something is wrong somewhere.
Everything has a source.
But you know what's so sad, Marie and colleagues, you know what happens? We stand accused. We've been talking about mental health on this set and even other stations across the country. And sad part is we did not take action. When he posted and tagged media houses, the same people who we are the advocates of mental health, the DCI did not take any action, so we stand accused. We stand accused. So sad. All right, Marie.
Exactly. So take care of yourself. They say there is no health without mental health, and that is very true. So let's get to the news. A very good morning from wherever you're watching us. My name is Maria, and always a pleasure to have you join us. Now, the deployment of 1,000 police officers to war-torn Haiti is in the pre-deployment stages. This is according to Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki, who says the troops are set to leave following the signing of reciprocal agreement between Kenya and Haiti as advised by the courts. This comes as violence escalated over the weekend in Haiti's capital, with heavily armed gangs attacking the National Palace. The U.S. has since issued a travel advisory to its citizens not to travel to Haiti, citing the security situation is unpredictable and dangerous. Frederick Parsail with the details.
Days after the Haiti's Prime Minister Ariel Henry was in Kenya to sign the reciprocal agreement that gave the green light for the deployment of Kenyan officers to Haiti, Interior CS Kithure Kindiki says it's all system go.
All the other programs are in place, including the status of forces agreement and the laws on detention, arrests, and other enforcement measures are now in place. The standard operation procedures are in place, and Kenyan police officers will be just part of the multinational security mission in Haiti.
According to Kindiki, Kenya has adhered to the court directive and is the final stages of sending troops as the lead nation in the multinational security operation in Haiti.
There was a small court matter. That small matter has been resolved because the court said we needed to have a reciprocal agreement with Haiti. That reciprocal agreement has already been signed about a week ago.
Additionally, he says all the paperwork has been concluded.
Kenya is the lead nation, but there are so many other countries that have pledged to contribute troops. And this came from the mandate of the United Nations Security Council. So it's part of our international obligations.
This comes as violence erupted over the weekend in Haiti's capital. Heavily armed gangs attacked the National Palace and set part of the Interior Ministry on fire with petrol bombs. It comes after a sustained attack on the international airport, which remains closed to all flights. The U.S. government has since issued a Level 4 travel advisory for citizens not to travel to the war-torn country.
President William Ruto has challenged county assemblies to amend the standing orders to introduce question time for county executive committee members to respond to and effectively enhance accountability. Ruto, who held a meeting with Kenya Kwanza allied MCAs, also urged them to internalize the coalition's manifesto and educate those at the grassroots on the government's agenda.
State House in Nairobi played host to ward representatives allied to the ruling coalition to reflect on gains made since the government assumed power. President Ruto, who hosted the meeting, urged them to understand the political alliance's manifesto and explain it to Kenyans at the grassroots level.
Find out how many community health promoters are in your ward. Ni kina nani? Are they doing something? Ama they are not doing anything. Assist the county, assist us, so that, because these are people we have given equipment, these are people we are paying a stipend. It is in your interest to know where a community health promoter is.
The president further urged MCAs to mobilize farmers for registration to ensure they register for subsidized fertilizer.
Leader in a ward, friends, make it your responsibility. You know, make it your responsibility. Mwambie wakulima sasa, serikali imepanga, iko mbolea 2,500, wewe register, na tuna mpango ya kulete kutoka huko mbali ikuja hapa karibu.
Tushikilie mashinani, zile program ziko, msipigie debe, na mutembee na kifua mbele, mkiwa na hakikisho ya kwamba mbele iko sawa.
Additionally, he challenged the county ward representatives to amend the standing orders to allow for the county executive committee members to answer questions in the assemblies to enhance their oversight role.
Ministers today, CSS, go to parliament to be asked questions. I want to encourage you as MCAs to also amend your standing orders so that CECs wakuje kwa floor ya bunge muwaulize maswali. Sindio? Because we want to improve oversight. We want to improve oversight. Kila mtu aulizwe maswali. Na ule mtu atake kujibu maswali, tunampangia virago anahama.
The inaugural meeting is expected to shape the political agenda of the party ahead of next month's UDA grassroots election amid calls for establishment of a ward oversight fund by MCAs.
Thank you, Gladys Mongai, for that report. The management of Mama Lucy Hospital has refuted claims that a woman delivered twins at the facility but was only given one baby. The hospital, which has maintained only one baby was born, says the allegations are misplaced and only aimed at tarnishing the facility's name. The information by the hospital has been corroborated by the family, which says initial reports showing twins were based on misinformation.
It is this clip of a scuffle at Mama Lucy Hospital doing rounds on social media that has caused a public outcry over the weekend. Those in the clip alleging that a woman had delivered twins at the hospital only to be handed one child, a girl. The hospital has come out to clear the air, saying that the 31-year-old woman who was admitted into the facility on the 4th of this month only delivered one child.
An ultrasound was done, which revealed a single live intrauterine pregnancy at 30 weeks and 6 days. So this was not corresponding to her gestation by dates, and hence we added her diagnosis of fetal growth restriction. We stabilized the mother, optimized her care, and once we were ready to deliver the baby, we opted for a cesarean section to optimize the chances for the baby.
The mother gave birth to one single child. She had one single fetus, born prematurely, but stable as it is right now. And therefore, that video clip that is going around is misplaced, is inaccurate, is untrue, of which we are not certain what the aim and the agenda is.
Ile video si halali na ujumbe ambao wanausema pale si kweli. Kweli ni kwamba mama alijifungua mtoto mmoja na hasa saa hizi vile tunaongea yupo wodini.
According to the family, they had initially expected twins, only to be informed by the hospital that it was a single child, information Douglas Morara, the father, agrees with.
Na ile kitu ilikuwa imetokea ni kuwa alikuwa
ajifungue matwins, lakini wakati tumefuatilia tumepata ukweli ya kwamba mtoto alikuwa ni mmoja ambaye alikuwa ni wa kike. Na wakati tumefuatilia yote tumepata ukweli mahali iko. Hapa katikati huwa confusion inakuwa ni mingi, lakini mimi mwenyewe nimesimama, nimefuatilia, nimepata ukweli ya kwamba mtoto ni wa kike na ni mmoja.
The hospital has maintained that it operates within the set standards and that it will not sit back as their image is tarnished.
We've had challenges in the past, accusations every day about Mama Lucy this, Mama Lucy that, mistreatment of a patient this. We are going to push back on any matters that are tarnishing Mama Lucy Kibaki's name. We shall not stand and look by.
The mother of the child and child are recuperating at the hospital and are said to be in stable condition.
Muslim faithful have been challenged to embrace the spirit of forgiveness, tolerance and prayer as they begin to observe the holy month of Ramadan. Speaking at Jamia Mosque in Nairobi during the first day of Ramadan, a section of Muslim leaders at the same time called on the faithful to remember the less fortunate in the society. The 30-day period is marked during the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, when Muslim faithful across the world focus on prayers, fasting, charity and religious devotion.
Local Muslim faithfuls have joined their counterparts in the world in observing the holy month of Ramadan, which officially begins on Monday after the sighting of the new crescent moon on Sunday evening. At Jamia Mosque in Nairobi County, Muslim faithfuls thronged at the worship center for prayers during the first day of fasting. Here, Muslim leaders urge those privileged to help the less fortunate in the society.
Because this is the time where we need to show good gesture and show that we can care also for our brothers and sisters who are unable to pay for themselves during this time of Ramadan.
Kwa katika mwezi kama huu inapaswa Waislamu kukithirisha mno ibada ya kutoa, kuwasaidia wasiojiweza katika jamii, katika familia, mtu kufanya bidii kuweza kulisha kwa kadri ambayo unayoweza.
The leaders further urged the political class to promote national unity and rally Kenyans in nation building.
Shida yao ni mostly ni kabila. Kabila hajasifiwa katika dini ya Kiislamu. Inatakana watu waache maneno ya kabila na wawe watu ambao wakiishi kindugu na salama.
The Muslim faithful at the same time expressed gratitude to the government for scrapping the levy on imported dates during the holy month of Ramadan.
Every Muslim breaks his fast with a date. It is in a high demand. So if the government takes such important steps, we are very, very thankful to that, and we hope that we will continue with the same spirit.
The 30 days period is marked during the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, where Muslim faithfuls across the world focus on Tarawih prayers, fasting, charity and religious devotion. Fasting is recommended throughout the season, but there are exceptions for children, the elderly, the sick, expectant or nursing women and people who are traveling.
The government has been urged to allocate more funds to the National Council for Persons with Disabilities to ensure their matters are fully addressed. Stakeholders drawn from different organizations and entities reveal that lack of adequate funds has crippled many projects that seek to address critical matters affecting PWDs. They spoke during the launch of the Strategic Plan 2023-27 for the National Council for Persons with Disabilities in Nairobi.
Calls for the government to inject more funds into the disability kit resonated during the launch of the Strategic Plan 2023-2027 for the National Council for Persons with Disabilities.
This is the time. The gap that has been there, we want an increment to what they are using as their funding so that they achieve their passion, their focus, their dreams and their objectives.
According to National Council for Persons with Disabilities Executive Director Harun Hassan, key and life-changing programs for persons with disabilities have remained unrealized due to the scarcity of resources.
We have decentralized the disability medical assessment verification process from Nairobi to the counties. We have entered into partnerships that have made it possible to provide education scholarship as well as assistive devices against the budgetary challenges.
People are now shy to openly
show that they do not care about persons with disabilities. But there exist microaggressions that are done in subtle ways. Individuals who are not promoted because they are seen to be lesser workers. Women who are seen to be lesser because they have a disability.
Speaking at the same forum, Social Protection Principal Secretary Joseph Motari has, however, urged Parliament to pass the Social Protection Bill that has already been approved by Cabinet, saying it will be a game changer on matters to do with PWDs.
At the Ministry, we continue to support the Council, both in terms of enhancing its programs and ensuring that the necessary policies and legislation that promote disability inclusion are in place.
I also note that this would be well supported if Persons with Disabilities Act 2003 was amended to conform with the Constitution of Kenya 2010. The 12th Parliament worked with it until they went away and left it there.
First Lady Rachel Ruto has lauded efforts by the spouse of the Deputy President, Pastor Dorcas Rigathi, to eradicate alcoholism, drugs and substance abuse among the youth. The First Lady termed as admirable Pastor Dorcas' dedication and commitment in saving the young generation.
Speaking during the 10th annual Nyeri County Prayer Breakfast, the First Lady Rachel Ruto emphasized the need to embrace family values as a prerequisite to achieving a morally strong nation.
We must work tirelessly to strengthen families, protect our youth and children, and instill them the respect and love for God and man, as well as values of integrity, hard work, and compassion.
Adding that faith-based institutions ought to work closely with the government in a bid to transform the lives of the youth who are adversely affected by alcohol and drug menace.
I commend the efforts of Her Excellency, my sister, Pastor Dorcas Rigathi, who has been at the forefront of addressing the challenges facing our young men in combating alcoholism and drug abuse.
On her part, Pastor Dorcas Gachagua said children must be protected as they hold the destiny of a country.
And it is the children that actually will propagate the next dispensation. And if the children are dead, a community will be dead.
Addressing the same event, area leaders led by Nyeri Governor Mutahi Kahiga called for collaboration in the ongoing crackdown on establishments selling illicit brews within the county.
We must deal with these issues from the root. And I believe it is possible, and we must do it. If we don't do it now, who will ever do it in this country?
Put our efforts together and eradicate the vices that are threatening the fabric of our families and of our future and of our youth.
My prayer is that we continue holding together, believing in the power of prayer, loving one another, and getting focused on where we are going.
A look at business now, where the Kenya Development Corporation is set to inject 7 billion shillings to help small and medium enterprises invest more in innovation. The program, dubbed Supporting Access to Finance and Enterprise Recovery, seeks to address market failures in access to finance by MSMEs in the country.
International Financial Corporation estimates that about 43% of SMEs in developing countries have an unmet financing need of nearly $4.1 trillion. Lending to MSMEs has further dropped in the post-COVID-19 era due to their risky nature.
Estimates of SME funding gap of $19.38 billion for Kenya, which represents almost 30% of GDP. This is a significant amount. So what we can clearly see is that there is a gap in that marketplace for MSME finance.
To this end, MSMEs in transport, agriculture, logistics, trade, among others, are set to benefit from funding through the Supporting Access to Finance and Enterprise Recovery SAFER project that will provide innovating financial solutions and support to MSMEs. The concessional loan of up to 7.1 billion shillings will be channeled from the National Treasury to Kenya Development Corporation, which will on lend to several participating financial institutions and SACCOs at an interest rate of 8.5%.
And this initiative aims to break down financial barriers that are faced by MSMEs through a three-pronged approach.
These funds, we are going to sensitize and train the beneficiaries. That is one, and indirectly de-risking the fund. Secondly, the issue of security and collateral. The eligibility requirements to access this fund has been lessened.
Through SAFER, individual micro-enterprises will access loans ranging from 7,000 shillings to 150,000 shillings, while small enterprises can avail themselves of loans ranging from 150,000 to 250,000 shillings with a repayment period of 3 years.
So we shall be extending these facilities based on the liquidity gap that these various institutions have, so that then they can lend to the MSMEs.
On Hustler Fund, the government has disbursed loans totaling 47 billion shillings to 22 million Kenyans. The value of Hustler Fund defaults stood at nearly 11 billion shillings, putting the overall repayment rate of loans disbursed at 72%.
The EAC Secretariat will be conducting an evaluation of operations at 5 border posts to address emerging issues affecting trade. EAC Deputy Secretary General in charge of Customs, Trade and Monetary Affairs, Annette Mutawe Semuambe, said the evaluation will be used to craft measures to enhance cross-border trade at least 40% in 5 years from current 11%.
Cross-border trade stands at an average of 11% within the East African community. This is a concern to the trading bloc that has commissioned a study to identify and address the issues slowing trade. Over the next 60 days, the EAC Secretariat plans to undertake a review of processes at border points comprising Namanga, Mutukula, Kobero Kabanga, and Legu Nimule.
We'll also look at Namanga, the border between Kenya and the United Republic of Tanzania. Those that use that border will usually see quite a long queue of trucks. So we're trying to understand why are trucks spending time at the border, what are some of the issues that don't allow for quick flow of goods. And the CEO for EABC already came up with some good proposals, such as a lane that is dedicated to goods from intra-EAC trade. So we'll try to investigate some of these issues a bit more.
A survey conducted by the EAC Secretariat indicates that harmonization of policies among EAC member states could help boost cross-border trade.
We are pushing as EABC to have a green lane for goods produced within the region. Should not should enjoy free circulation, should move quickly across borders, should not be mingled with imported goods, so that we are able to disaggregate what is produced within EAC and what is coming from outside.
Semuemba said evaluation of operations at key border points will inform policy review and consequently boost trade and movement of persons across the regional bloc.
We have mechanisms in place for reporting, we have mechanisms in place for monitoring, but we also we recognize that the region has evolved, and perhaps we now need to rethink these approaches so that we can come up with new ways of how we can try to eliminate non-tariff barriers in the region.
The target is to grow intra-EAC trade to at least 40% in the next 5 years.
From sports, we head from business, that is, we head to sports, where local rally drivers are putting final touches to their cars in preparation for the WRC Safari Rally Kenya, with high expectations of a good performance. I beg your pardon, in the Easter Championship, Kenya paraplegic rally driver Nikhil Sachania and Team A1's Minesh Rathod are among the Kenya national entries who will be aiming for the podium among the world's elite, whose containers have started to dock in the country.
Kenya paraplegic rally driver Nikhil Sachania, who will be co-driven by Deep Patel, has expressed faith in his hand-controlled Mitsubishi Evolution 10, which he will be taking for a road test this weekend. He has a good outing in last year's Safari Rally, where he won the Group N category and hopes to finish among top 15 overall.
So yeah, currently you can see the car has been stripped down. The recce is not until the 24th, when we'll head out to Naivasha, so there's still some time left for recce, but in terms of preparation, we're almost done. We should have the car assembled and ready to go by the end of the weekend.
Minish Ruto, who finished 20th overall in 2023 behind Hill, also expressed his readiness for the upcoming Safari Rally, where he will be navigated by Britain's Gordon Noble this time round in another Mitsubishi Evolution 10, which he believes will perform better and take him to the podium.
Matarajio tunaomba pakuwe pazuri. Wageni wale wanatoka nje, wale wanakuja kutoka nchi za jirani na za ngambo. Tuwe na event ambayo itakuwa inawaridhisha, inawafurahisha na tuweze kuhudumisha hiyo event kwa ajili ya watoto na watoto ambao watatufuata sisi.
The WRC Safari Rally Kenya will be held from the 28th to 31st of this month and will be televised live on KBC Channel 1.
That story brings us to the end of the news this morning. Thank you so much for your company. My name is Marie Yambo. Up next is Victor Law with People and Politics.
Just forget that woman, please. It's not that easy, Remigio.
There are moments in life, Sergio, when we must bet all or nothing. You know, I think it's about time for me to become a widow.
You don't know me yet. But if someone ever betrays me, I will take it as far as I can go.
No, I don't believe you. Go look for Betsabeth. Look for her. I'm pretty sure that she wouldn't like the fact that you're cheating on her with me.
I saw him with my own eyes, with Malena, the wife of my father. It would have been one thing to cheat on me with another woman, but with her? With that wretched woman? No way, I can't take that. I can't forgive him.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who is the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevaa kichwani.
Hii sio wakati tulikuwa tunaapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow.
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
right, 12 minutes past 7 a.m. Good morning. Welcome to the program after Marie Yambo. Now let's take a look at what's in the world of politics, that what runs our world. All right, my name is Victor Lo. Please talk to us on our social media handles. Again, go to our social media handle and take a screenshot of either me or Mheshimiwa Global Geopolitician David Sankok, Member of Parliament of Ela. He calls himself Global Geopolitician.
Not that I call myself. They call me in East Africa community the Global Geopolitician. Ask any member of Parliament from the 8 countries.
That is a heavy word. It's a very long name.
It's not long.
The Global Geopolitician.
Yes, it's just 2 names.
Okay. Please take a screenshot of either me or the Global Geopolitician and talk to us on our social media handle. That is on X. Tag me, tag Mheshimiwa Sankok, the Global Geopolitician. What is your X handle or Twitter handle?
At Sankok.
At Sankok. Please tag him, tag me, and the hashtag is Good Morning Kenya. Mine is at Victor Ole. All right. So right about now, let me take you through the traffic very fast before we get into the political arena. Let me take you through the city. Already there is it's a mess already as we speak. The entire stretch of Thika Road, starting all the way from Muthaiga Square, going back past KCA University, as you can see, coming into town, is already a mess. Now that extends slightly after Allsops. Yes, that is Outer Ring Road, until you head towards, today is not so good. This is Mountain Mall past Garden City. So today traffic is up to around Garden City, all the way from Garden City, coming into the CBD, past Allsops, all the way to De La Rue, kuja mpaka KCA University, Peter Ruaraka hapo, kuja mpaka Utalii Hotel. This is serious. Until you get to just slightly as you get towards Pangani, or if you like Jubilee headquarters. This is where the traffic is today. Watu Thika Road leo ni ile siku, but please just be patient. Again, that's also affecting Kiambu Road. As you can see, it's also going past DCI. This is where we have, okay? And today it's on both sides of Kiambu Road. If you are coming from Kiambu, you can either use the bypass and maneuver your way into the CBD. You'd rather spend that fuel than spend more hours in traffic. Now, that's another deal, okay? As you come into the CBD, the other side of the Western Circuit coming into Limuru Road is a bit busy around the City Park here. I think because of the construction work happening around that place, but after that it's moving as you come towards Forest Lane, joining the CBD, the Western Circuit of the city. Again, the traffic is around here. This is as you come towards joining the expressway, a bit of some traffic around Lions Place. After that, it's moving pretty fine as you come into the CBD. Let's head over and see what's happening on Jogo Road, Ngong Road. Ngong Road, what on Ngong Road, Leo? Mkusawa, again, you're going to, not so bad, but a bit of some traffic as you come towards light here at the Ngong Meteorological Department. Watu wa bypass na Langata Road kila kitu iko sawa. The entire stretch of Langata Road looking pretty fine. Apart of some traffic here as you come towards Nairobi Orphanage here. The traffic, that's now the roundabout joining the Langata Police Station and that bypass getting into Kibra and ultimately into the southern bypass and to Ngong Road. That's where we are. Okay, let's cross over to Mombasa. Watu Mombasa, good morning. How are you doing? The traffic situation in Mombasa, not so bad. The complete layout of the city looking pretty fine from Bamburi coming all the way to Makupa Causeway here. Another blessing to the residents of Mombasa. Not so bad. That is what we have joining the Makupa Police Station roundabout and finally around Sabasaba and into the CBD. Looking at the New Nyali Bridge, so far so good. Nothing to report about here. And yes, the entire stretch, a bit of some traffic here as you can see at the Kongowea Market. The Kongowea Market, that's where the problem is. After that, the entire stretch is moving pretty fine as you get out Nyali Road towards Pirate Beach. All right, finally, let's head over to Kisumu City. What do we have in Kisumu? Nothing much to report about as you come all the way from the International Airport to and fro, looking pretty fine. It's a good drive into the CBD. Again, the entire stretch of Kisumu is looking pretty fine. Yeah, nothing much. A bit of some traffic initially being experienced around Kisumu Boys because of the city center, but nevertheless, something is okay. Governor Nyong'o has done pretty fine, Mheshimiwa Sankok. Mheshimiwa Governor Nyong'o has done pretty fine in Kisumu. He's changed the face of Kisumu City. And when was the last time you were in Kisumu?
I was in Kisumu, I think, around February. Yes. And last month.
Yes.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was not bad. But I'm sure we did it when we were in Jubilee, all those roads. So you should not say Governor Nyong'o, you should say all of us.
But he's the sitting governor right now. We give him the credit.
Yeah, but you don't give Sakaja the credit of the expressway. It was done before he came. So all those roads, Nyong'o have done none.
So you're giving all the credit to Jubilee government?
Yes, Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto at that time. Between 2016 and 2018.
Okay. Kisumu looks good. Kisumu looks good. Let's take a look at what you have on the front page of the Daily Nation. Where is that? All right, there we have Daily Nation. Here on the front page of the Daily Nation, license to kill. That is what's on the front page of the Daily Nation. You have the newspaper there, Mheshimiwa, with you. On the front page of the Daily Nation, license to kill. It's already a nightmare because a directive to zero-rate motorcycles saw a sales spike and the ensuing chaos. Now it's a world of impunity where border riders across the country are a law unto themselves, mostly unlicensed. They speed on the wrong lanes, jump traffic lights, and ride on pedestrian walkways while carrying excess passengers and huge loads right under the noses of police officers. And this has only served the feel of a trail of broken limbs, avoidable death, and devastated families. This is a story on the splash of the Daily Nation here. As you can see, we have these two gentlemen enjoying their ride on a motorcycle. And perhaps this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the other side probably is 7 or 8 sacks of makaa, sacks of charcoal. And this is quite common on our Kenyan roads. So there's a complete statistics here, or is that 1 in 3 Kenyans who died in road accident over the past 6 years was either riding on a motorcycle or either hit by two-wheel speed machines that hog roads and pedestrians walkways across the country. But perhaps, Mr. Muir, there's the whole issue of border. Can something be done about it? I mean, you're the legislators. A law can be amended to streamline this industry.
Yes, but as far as it's not the issue of probably restricting importation, will allow importation for us to be able to create jobs in the lower bottom of the economic pyramid. But then it is the issue of our police officers being strict on the roads.
But again, it's also come with the issue of personal responsibility. I mean, look at these two gentlemen. Look at this.
Yeah, but I'm certainly sure that with all the traffic police officers that we have in Kenya currently, one police officer may have spotted, but did nothing. Because he knows he will run to a bus, because the bus may be able to give a little bribe, a little bit more than the motorcycle. Because this motorcycle is earning around 100 shillings a day or 300 shillings a day. So he can only maybe get 50 bob for the police officer. A bus can get 1,000 bob for the police officer. So that's why they run to the buses and leave these guys scot-free. So I think it is an issue of our enforcing our traffic rules. Yes.
All right. Okay, let's cross over. Haiti police deployment still on, insists Kindiki. The Kenya government is planning to deploy 1,000 Kenya police officers who will be sent to Haiti as part of a UN-backed security mission. And now the government will soon send a contingent of police officers to Haiti despite the escalating violence in the Caribbean nation. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki said yesterday that all is set for the deployment of the 1,000 officers, all male, who have already been taken through standard operations training. They will be deployed to Haiti as part of a United Nations security mission. The UN and the US have already expressed concern over the delay in sending the officers to the restive nation. That is, the UN and the US have already expressed concern over the delay in sending officers in the restive nation. This is what you have here. The Prime Minister was also here a fortnight ago to have a discussion with President William Ruto. This is on the front page of the Daily Nation. Perhaps you'd want to say something of this, Mheshimiwa, the deployment of police officers to Haiti.
I'm not an expert in terms of security.
Right.
But I'm sure all Kenyans are concerned. Those who will be sent there are concerned. The government is concerned. The president is concerned. So I think I will give them the benefit of doubt that they have done enough research that our men and women who will be deployed will have their security guaranteed. Yes.
Yeah.
So Kindiki keep on insisting, but the security of our men and women must be guaranteed, by this government.
Yeah.
Because the government responsibility is to secure our properties and our lives within and outside our borders.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, just to remind you that I'm still waiting for Joshua Kimilo, who is Member of Parliament of Haiti constituency. We have got Haiti, and now from Haiti constituency, he'll be joining me here soon. Yeah.
He will be the one to come and
tell us.
Tell us about Haiti and Haiti. You know, maybe they are even deploying to Haiti. You never know, you know.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Haiti.
In Machakos, yeah? Maybe something.
Mr. Joshua, please hurry. Sankok is waiting for you here, the geopolitician. Let's take a look at what's on the front page of the Standard here. The Standard is a story of infidelity, murder, and bizarre rant. That is the story on the splash of the Standard newspaper, infidelity, murder, and bizarre rant. The story goes that Evans Kosgei made scary remarks about his wife, Jacqueline Kimayo, accusing her of cheating and warned of dire consequences on his social media platforms. Tagged newsrooms and the police. Then he did the unthinkable. He slaughtered his wife and hanged himself. These are the two people in question. So we have got Jacqueline Kimayo, the late, who was 29 years old, and the husband, Evans Kosgei, who was 33 years old. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. That is what you have here on the front page of the Standard newspaper. But I think this is an issue of mental health that we talked about at the beginning of the show. Mheshimiwa, perhaps you can talk about this. The society is stressed, and when you hear, you know, couples killing themselves and husband taking, I mean, because of infidelity and all that, I mean, we need to take care of our mental health quite seriously in such a situation, because they were a young couple. And when you come of accusations and counter-accusations, perhaps somebody should just come out and, you know, help this story talk to the society. Again, Azimio picks team to audit 2022 elections. The opposition coalition names a former Busia Senator, Amos Wako, a former nominated senator, and a forensic expert for the panel to audit the disputed election. That is what you have here on, again, on this front page of the Standard newspaper. What's cooking between Wanjigi and Oparanya? Okay, politics. New twist in ODM succession politics is Deputy Party Leader Wycliffe Oparanya meets Jimmy Wanjigi of Safina amid rivalry with the former Mombasa Governor Hassan Joho. This sounds familiar to you, Mheshimiwa?
Yeah, of course, with the ODM,
yes,
they have a license to such men in black, such scrambles every now and then, fighting for power that does not exist. Because what power are they fighting for? They don't have power. I hear that they are auditing the 2022 general election. I hope they will not audit the 2025 AUC election. Because that is the that is where they are. That's the direction they are taking.
Yes.
So there will be the election for AUC chairman, that is in 2025, and I'm totally supporting Raila Omolo Odinga.
Yes.
And we are sure of winning, but in case we don't win, I will assist them in auditing also.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what do you think? To audit the 2022 general election, what's your take on this? It's
what is the
that has been there for quite some time. Do you think it should be audited, or we just let it rest?
So what is the end game after auditing? So what? Yes. I think our election is one of the best within the region, and in fact in the whole of Africa. So it is good to audit so that you can get some, unless actually they want to audit and come up with the recommendation how to not to lose election to their own Azimio brigades. Yes. You audit, you now see why you lost the election, and then come up with strategies of how not to lose an election.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perhaps just take stock on what really happened.
Yes.
Okay. This is what you have on the front page of the People Daily. People Daily is more of the front page of the Daily Nation. Highways of Death. The story on the People Daily is more or less that on the front page of the Daily Nation. Report reveals that roads in Nairobi, which have recorded the highest number of deaths and injuries of border riders and their pillion passengers. Fatalities blamed on refusal by operators and customers to wear a helmet and poor enforcement of traffic rules. This is what we have, a picture. Again, it seems so familiar to us as...
By the way, it's not the issue of refusing to wear a helmet. It is enforcing traffic rules.
Enforcing traffic rules.
I've gone to Rwanda.
Let's just get it. We as Kenyans, it's personal responsibility. I mean, we've seen how they drive along our city streets here.
You know, in Rwanda, Kigali, everywhere there is cameras. The moment you break any traffic rule, you'll get an SMS in your phone asking you to pay 25,000 Rwandanese franc. Meaning, you already have the message in your phone. You know you are offense. You are guilty. You will pay to the government. But here they pay to the police officers. What will happen? They will bargain. So if they take 50 shillings, and I'm making from the client who did not wear the helmet 200 shillings, so I prefer paying the 50 shillings. You know, it's business. So enforcement of traffic rules. Go to Kigali. They have the highest number of these borders within the city. But then everybody is following traffic. Only 2 passengers, everyone, the driver and the passenger have an helmet. And it is compulsory. And it is the cameras that will see you. It is not an issue of policemen and going around and seeing where the policemen are and how to bribe them. How do you bribe an SMS? How do you bribe the whole government system? And you are border have been taken the registration number, you don't pay, within maybe 3 days, you are given 3 days, another warning come, that border become property of the government.
And you also find yourself behind bars.
Yes, of course.
So it's all about enforcement of the traffic rules and laws.
If you don't enforce traffic rules, what do you expect? What do you expect? People will break those rules.
I get your point.
Yes.
I get your point. And yeah, I mean, it's becoming quite so hard even for other people. But yes, we have it. Azimio picks team for election audit again, what we just talked about. The team is here by, led by Amos Wako, Piwandai, and Judith Pareno, who will be taking a look at that. Interesting times ahead. Muslims start Ramadan, holy month of to culminate in Eid al-Fitr celebrations that is coming not too long from now. Okay, so that's where we have it. As far as that, what Kenya Kwanza MCAs want from Ruto? Again, they met for the first time in State House, Nairobi. It was a good move for the president to meet all the MCAs. You would imagine meeting the MPs, senators, elected leaders, but now bringing all the MCAs from across the country to State House to deliberate. That's the highest level of democracy and leadership.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have always insisted and told Kenyans that William Ruto is a Democrat. He is one of the best leaders that we have, not in Africa, but in the world. And you see how democratic he is. Actually, he's supposed to meet members of parliament so that he can push the government agenda through parliament and Senate. But he went a step further because it is actually the governors and the losers of the governor's seat. Just like Azimio leader, Raila Odinga, will meet the MPs from his side whenever there is contentious issues in parliament. It is also the governors and the losers of the governor's seat that are supposed to meet MCAs and drum up support for any contentious issues that may be in the county assembly. But our president go a step further and even meet them so that they can understand what do they really want, what are the priorities, how will we make county assembly work, how do we make the devolved units work, so that you don't only hear from the Council of Governors every now and then. They may be biased. So he's listening to the ground.
You have to listen to your people. Very well. Okay, very quickly, let's take a look at what you have on the front page of the BBC here. The BBC, the front page, there's a problem with reloading that. Let me come back to France 24. On France 24, hunger worsens in Gaza with no end to the war in sight. That is what you have here, the issue of Gaza. The story goes that Palestinians began fasting for the Muslim holy month of Ramadan on Monday with ceasefire talks at standstill, hunger worsening across the Gaza Strip and no end in sight to the war between Israel and Hamas. The United States, Qatar and Egypt had hoped to broker a ceasefire ahead of the normally joyous holiday that would include the release of dozens of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners and the entry of a large amount of humanitarian aid. But the talks have stalled. So what is happening in across our borders, that is what you still have here. There is no some good hope in sight as far as that is concerned. Okay, as always, head over to Google Play or App Store and download the KBC app and have a look at real-time info on what you really want to get to understand. Like, for example, let's just take a look at this one, okay? This real-time information where Mudavadi urges Europe and other African African leaders in partnership to harness opportunities. This is what you have. The Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, has urged Europe and Africa to work together to harness opportunity that will translate into tangible actions for countries. Mudavadi said that prioritizing sustainable development, promoting inclusive growth, and fostering collaboration across sectors, both regions can unlock their full potential, paving way for a brighter future. So he was in Denmark, where he's representing President William Ruto at that particular function. Mudavadi is in Denmark to present President William Ruto. I mean, Kenya is doing pretty fine outside there in EALA. What is the face and how is Kenya being seen in the Legislative Assembly of East Africa?
My friend Victor, you know, I used to wear green with the flag of Kenya because I was loyal to Kenya. At the moment, I'm very patriotic to the East African community. So I rather prefer that you ask me about the East African community economic bloc rather than one unit within East Africa. Kenya is just one of the units. It is the big brother in East African community economic bloc. But being now a patriot to the East African community,
you're loyal.
Then I rather you ask me about the East African economic bloc. Yes.
I'll do that.
Yes.
Immediately after this break.
Thank you.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who's the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevaa kichwani. Sisi wakati tulikuwa tunaapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow.
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
那不就是我就是哥白尼。
必须要走出第一步。继续。其实很简单，我们之所以无法预测出太阳的运行规律，是因为在我们这个世界上，同时存在着3个人。
你们其他人不是抄袭就是白痴，你们就是无法接受超出你们认知范围的事情，应该是在游戏里无法接受。时间的尽头。
Welcome back. Now let's take to the political scene now. Mheshimiwa, a lot is happening in the parliament. East Africa Legislative Assembly, you're still sitting. Allow me to ask you this question straight.
Yes.
As a person, what have you done so far now that you're having your sittings in the assembly?
Thank you very much, Victor. I think that is the best question I've had for a couple of years because we are doing a lot in the East Africa Legislative Assembly, but rarely do we see the Kenyan media taking interest of what is happening in East African Legislative Assembly. Kenyans should know that East Africa community is an economic bloc like no other. It have 350 million people. That means it's almost the size of the United States of America in terms of a market. So we have a bigger market. East African community have a landmass of 1.4 billion acres. And 1.4 billion acres without a desert is all arable, whether in livestock keeping or in agriculture or in forestry. The only non-arable land is on top of Mount Kilimanjaro and on top of Mount Kenya. We also have the second tallest mountain in the world and the tallest mountain in Africa and the second tallest mountain in Africa, Mount Kilimanjaro and Mount Kenya. We also have 6,500 kilometers of coastline. We are the only economic bloc that touches on 2 major oceans and a sea. We touch on Atlantic Ocean, we touch on Indian Ocean, the Red Sea and the Gulf of Eden. You can imagine that East Africa is placed in a way that it can do business with the Far East, China, Asia, all that area, using the Indian Ocean via Kenya and Somali and United Republic of Tanzania. We can also do business with the Middle East and Europe through the Red Sea or through the Gulf of Eden. We can also do business with the West, Canada, America, South America and North America, all of it through the Atlantic Ocean because of DRC. So we are so much equipped. EAC, economic bloc, is the economic bloc with the highest number of rivers. We have a lot of waters. Name our lakes. Lake Victoria, Lake, in Kenya alone, Lake Naivasha, Lake Nakuru, Lake Elementaita. We also have Lake Natron. We have Lake Tanganyika. We have Lake Nyasi, the one that was Nyasa, or that one was formerly called Lake Malawi. We have Lake Kivu. I think Kenyans should see the opportunities in this economic bloc that is like no other in the whole world. We are the source of River Nile. We also have a lot of rivers. Congo River is one of the largest rivers with the highest amount of waters in the world. You know, all of it is in East Africa. Now coming to your question, what have I done? 2 months and 3 days after I was sworn in February 2023, because I was sworn in December 17th, 2022. So in February 2023, on 20th, that is 2 months and 3 days after my swearing in, I brought a bill that was passed of using local currencies within the East African member states. You know, Victor, we are in the worst form of slavery as Africans. We are in the worst form of colonialism. Baptized is in any other way. Call it that we are servants. We are slaves. We are a colony. Whichever name you put it, we are under what we call political, social, economic neocolonialism. Because today, if I want to go to Tanzania and buy maize, I have to change Kenya shillings into dollars at a fee. And then from Tanzania, I change the US dollars into Tanzanian shillings at a fee. The trade that we do between our partner states, we end up losing 10% to America. Now, Victor, pilipili usioila ya kuashiani. America are not the ones going to buy maize in Tanzania. They are not the one producing maize in Tanzania. But they still get 10% of our inter-business trade. Victor, today, you go to some of these hotels in Nairobi. You ask for their brochure. What do they tell you? Bed and breakfast, $100. Ask that idiot to go to America and see if in America you'll see a hotel that is charged in terms of Kenya shillings. Why should we charge our hotels in terms of US dollars? Why don't I charge in terms of Kenya shillings or Uganda shillings or Tanzania shillings or Rwandese franc or South Sudan pounds? So I introduced that bill and we pass it. We are now waiting for all the partner states to ratify it so that all our countries, inter-country trade, we do it using our local currency. Meaning I buy Tanzanian goods either using Tanzania shillings or Kenya shillings, but let them not sell to me using US dollars. And that will strengthen our own dollars. You know, it is funny. I buy a Toyota from Japan. I buy using US dollars. Why? It is not the Americans producing the Toyota. They are not the one buying the Toyota. I should either pay using Kenya shillings or pay using Japanese yen. Why should I go through a third party? So I think I have introduced that bill. That is one of the things that I know I did. And then 6 months, actually 11 months and 19 days after my swearing in, that is on 6 December 2023, I also introduced a bill on banning importation of leather products into East African Community Economic Bloc. And I can assure you, Victor, I did enough research. In the East African Community Economic Bloc, we slaughter 15 million cows annually. That is cattle, herd of cattle, 15 million, without even mentioning camels, goats, and sheep. 15 million, meaning we have 15 million hides from cattle in East African Community, translating to 310 pairs of shoes, leather shoes. We import into the East African Community Economic Bloc 91 million pairs of shoes. That is a contradiction. We have our own leather here, we produce our own leather here, but we end up importing leather products from outside the country. Our hides and skins in East African Community are eaten by dogs and hyenas. One pair of shoe, if it costs 500 shillings, we are talking about in East Africa, an industry worth 4.5 trillion Kenya shillings. In Kenya alone, we are importing 25 million pairs of shoes, yet we have 3.5 million cattle being slaughtered in Kenya alone. That means we can produce, because one hide from a cow produces 20 pairs of shoes, meaning we can comfortably in Kenya be able to manufacture 70 million pairs of shoes. 70 million pairs of shoes translate to an industry or a factory worth 350 billion Kenya shillings. If my bill is ascended to by the head of state summits, then you can be assured that through banning importation of leather products and exportation of raw leather, we will be able to create in East African community 1.2 million direct jobs and 14.9 million indirect jobs. I'm talking about those who will be selling the finished product, those who will be selling the leather, the leather to the industry. So 14.9 million indirect jobs.
As you can see, let me just cut you short. So we have breaking news here. On your screens, we've just talked about Haiti, the Prime Minister of Haiti and the Kenya, the President planning to send 1,000 police officers to Haiti. Now we have it that the embattled leader of Haiti, that is Ariel Henry, has resigned. That is the Prime Minister, an elected leader of Haiti, has resigned after weeks of mounting chaos in the Caribbean nation, where gangs have been attacking government structures and social order is on the brink of collapse. So according to Henry's advisor, that is Jean Junior Joseph, confirmed the resignation, emphasizing that the outgoing Prime Minister would remain in his role until the formation of a new interim government. That is the breaking news at the splash there on your screens. That is Haiti's leader resigns as gangs ran rampant through country engulfed in crisis. That is Haiti Prime Minister Ariel Henry has resigned. He was here in the country to meet President William Ruto to firm up the procedure. And of course, it's also been on the front page of our local dailies. We just talked about it a few minutes ago, Mheshimiwa.
Yes, and I think now the agreement they agreed is now null and void. Because if the guy have resigned,
so who is now the legitimate?
Who is now the legitimate person to take care of the security of our men and women? And I think I talked earlier that keep on insisting, Mr. Kindiki, that they will have to go to Haiti. You have to deploy them to Haiti, but you assure them of their security. Now, how do you assure them of their security if there is no government? I think I'm a member of the UDA party. I'm a founding member, and I'm still very loyal to UDA. But I think this issue of Haiti is becoming too hot for Kenyan to handle. So let our men and women provide security in the northern part of Kenya. We also have our own share of problems.
Let's talk about that, all right. So Henry was under pressure from the United States to secure political settlement, but it's far from clear who will step in at this particular point. So yes, we'll get you more on that breaking news as and when we receive more of it. But there's the breaking news under the screen there is that Haiti Prime Minister, Haiti's leader, resigns as gangs run rampant through country engulfed in crisis. Mheshimiwa, sorry for that. You can continue with your statement.
Yes, and you know, in Samburu, we lost even an MCA to bandits. So I didn't even see the reason of us going to Haiti while we have not even secured our own country. You know, it was so painful. Seeing a leader being killed in broad daylight. And you know, we talked about that MCA in Samburu because he's a leader. But how many common citizens have lost their lives? How many are still losing now? So I think my advice to Honorable Professor Kindiki, you are a professor and you understand everything. I believe so, having studied in terms of law. Now, those people you wanted to deploy to Haiti, those men in uniform and women in uniform, please deploy them to Samburu northern Kenya to make sure that our people are saved from the bandits. So I think that issue of the banditry in northern Kenya will be solved now once and for all.
Yeah.
So I was on this issue that, yes, you had asked me, what have I done? And I've given you an explanation. That within 2 months, 3 days, after my swearing in, I was sworn in on 17 December 2022. On February 20th, 2023, I had this bill that I have explained on the use of local currencies within our partner states. 6 months, around 11 months, 19 days after my swearing in, that is on 6th December 2023 in Kigali, I had brought this bill on banning importation of leather products and exportation of raw leather so that we can build on our own industry. Why did I have to go to these two specific ones?
Yes.
First of all, as a country and as a community economic bloc, we don't have the financial muscles. So I intend that we invest in what we call labor-intensive investment. In labor-intensive investment, we mostly use the human as a capital rather than financial capital. Because if you go into capital-intensive investment, you need the financial capital, and since we don't have the financial muscles, we end up borrowing and having loans and loans after loans.
Yeah.
You have Eurobond again renewing and renewing and renewing, and the fisher circle will never end. So for me, when I saw what we can actually use the potential of East African community economic bloc, and actually Africa as general, is the human capital. Because Africa is known not to produce cars, phones, or any other thing, but to produce plenty in terms of children. We really produce children in large numbers. While Japan produces Toyota cars, we produce children. So the human capital, we have it in plenty. So why don't we invest on labor?
What did you just say, Mheshimiwa?
No. But it's a fact. It's a fact. The youngest population is now in Africa.
Right.
Yes. So younger population mean, if you count the number of cars that are in Japan and count the number of children that we produce in Kenya, by the way, that is how we can compete with them. So I decided that what we'll do is to invest in labor-intensive investment because we have the human capital as opposed to the financial capital. Japan, because they sell cars to us, they sell to all over the world, they have the financial capital. For us, we even export labor to the Middle East.
Yeah.
We produce children in large numbers to the market every day. So we better use the human capital. Now the leather industry use the human capital because it's a labor-intensive investment.
Yeah.
The timber industry, which is the next bill that I'll bring, that we ban importation of furniture into the East African community.
Yes.
So that we can use the Congo forest, we can use the Mao forest. Yes? The timber that is there to produce our own local furnitures and even export furnitures. Because I have told you, we can export throughout the world because we are in touch with the Atlantic Ocean, the Indian Ocean, the Red Sea, and the Gulf of Eden. So we can easily export all over the world. The same with leather products. I've told you, this leather industry will create 1.2 million direct jobs. It will create 14.9 million indirect jobs. When I talk about indirect job, is you and me selling our hide and skin.
Yes.
Because our hide and skin, like in the last drought that we had, 2.5 million cows or cattle died in Kenya. Those hide and skin from those cows were eaten by dogs and hyenas. Yet when the cow get sick, the skin does not get sick. It is only meat that is not edible. But the hide and skin is usable, apart from maybe from a cow that have died of anthrax.
What other bill are you planning to submit before the parliament?
That bill that I'm planning is the banning of importation of furnitures. Why am I in these bills that are labor intensive? We don't need money from the government. The moment the government, as I have passed that bill on 6th December 2023 in Kigali, of banning importation of leather products The government does not need to give us money. Just ban importation. We have 9 million school-going children. They need leather shoes. We have the uniform police. We have yourself as Victor. You have leather shoes. In fact, all these characters that are here, apart from my sister here, they have leather shoes. Now, if they have leather shoes, the market is already there. The raw materials are already there. The human capital is already there. So you and me can come up with a leather industry.
Then? Where's the missing gap? If we have all the capacities, then where is the missing gap?
The missing gap is simple. We are a dumping ground for use leather shoes from all over the world. That is what I want us to ban.
And
the government just
ban. Have the capacity?
Yes, we have the capacity. You and me can start a leather industry. A leather industry can only cost around 10 million Kenya shillings. So many Kenyans can afford that leather industry once the market is there. But today, we cannot. Why? Because we are a dumping ground. There are so many counterfeit leather shoes that are not actually leather. They are synthetic leather. How do you synthesize leather? That are coming in into our economic bloc. So that is why I appreciate all the countries, the member states that were there at that time, because we were 7 when I was passing this. Somalia have just joined us. But all the member states, 7 of them, starting from Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, DRC, all supported my motion. And it went through without any interference.
Congratulations.
So it went through.
You are getting, I'm asking this question perhaps for the first time ever since you were elected and you are sworn in, but what are you going to achieve, at the end of your tenure, because it's renewable? What are you going to achieve at the end of your term? I mean,
of course, Kenyans know that already the East African community have been able to actualize 2 pillars out of 4.
Yes.
Because we are anchored under 4 pillars. That is the custom union, the common market protocol, the monetary union, and the political union. Now, in terms of the custom union, you are aware that using your ID, you can travel to Uganda, South Sudan, and Rwanda. It is only some countries that don't have security features in the ID that we still don't use IDs, but you don't need a visa. We now have East African passport, not Kenyan passport, not Uganda passport. It is East Africa passport because we are one people, so that we can be able to travel without interference. Because custom union mean movement of people freely across our borders, so that Victor, as a journalist, you can work in Rwandan TV without any interference because you are an East African, and we all have East African passport. Now, we also have the common market protocol.
Yes.
Goods from Kenya can be sold in Uganda, can be sold in Rwanda, because we have non-tariff barriers nowadays. To clear goods, you need 3 hours so that you clear through our borders. We used to use 3 weeks from Mombasa all the way to Kigali. Now, we are only using 5 days traveling because of non-tariff barriers. So at least we have implemented those pillars. The pillars that are remaining are monetary union, where we will end up having a single currency. But because I've already brought a motion that was passed of using local currencies within our inter-country trade, we are going towards that one. In 2031, we'll be able to have a single currency. Political federation, we found that a federal government is stronger, and every country fear losing their sovereignty. So we have decided to amend the treaty to be a political confederation as a stopgap measure, so that we have a political confederation as we go towards a political federation. So I think we have achieved a lot. Let Kenyans accept. And when we are sitting in Arusha, we get the Rwandan media, we get the Ugandan media, always following our proceedings. But the Kenya media is very busy following the proceeding of Azimio and Tangatanga and Kenya Kwanza, local politics. Sometimes also think geopolitics. Don't always think about local. Also understand what the regional Assembly is doing.
And that is why you're here.
Yes.
And that is why you're here.
Yeah, and I thank you.
Thank you so much. Allow me to ask you this question, because at the end of the day, the East Africa Legislative Assembly, you still have the 3 mandates.
Yes.
All right? More or less the same as what you're doing here.
Of course.
But you as a person, do you feel that you are putting the Kenyan map there? Yes, I know you want to talk as a bloc, but how are you making your presence felt that you are in the assembly, you're putting your bills in the assembly, and you're so confident at the end of the day, you're going to make every bill that you take in that assembly to go through?
You know, Victor, you may make other countries to oppose me, but since I'm a Kenyan, and they know I have an origin from Kenya, all my bills are biased towards the Kenya. Because the highest number of livestock, when we ban the importation of leather products, is actually Kenya. And being the big brother, we can easily be the ones manufacturing and supplying to the 350 million citizens of East Africa. That market will be taken by Kenya.
Okay.
Again, when I talk about use of local currency, Victor, which is the strongest currency currently in East African community, of course, it's the Kenyan currency.
Yeah.
So who will have the advantage?
Who will have the advantage?
The upper hand.
So, okay.
But those are secrets between us and
members.
And Kenya.
What is your main focus as the assembly now? What's as assembly now in general? What are you focusing on to push forward?
First of all, we had 2 dreams of our Pan-African forefathers.
Yes.
The dream of Kwame Nkrumah of uniting Africa into one, just as an instant. But then there was another school of thought from Julius Nyerere, who wanted Africa not to unite at once, because having an agreement between 54 countries is a tall order. So Nyerere decided, let us have economic blocks that will be stronger. And then after having economic bloc, ECOWAS, IGAD, and EAC, you know, these economic blocks will end up becoming the building blocks for the United States of Africa. And I think we went through the channel of Julius Nyerere.
Yes.
That let us not unite Africa at once, let us grow and build strong economic blocks, and then these ones become the building blocks of the United States of Africa. So for us in EAC or in IALA, we are trying to admit as many countries as possible. We have already admitted Somali. We are admitting Ethiopia very soon. Sudan, Khartoum will be admitted very soon. Malawi, so that we can grow as an economic bloc strong enough to be a building block for the United States of Africa.
Very good. Mheshimiwa, thank you so much. Trust me, you'll be back here at the end of your sittings, ending on 20th of this month.
Yes, and lastly, before even I go,
yes, in 20 seconds.
I wish all our Muslim brothers Ramadan Mubarak.
Right.
And again, let everybody know that I'm supporting Raila Odinga for the chairmanship of African Union Commission, because it will bridge the gap between the younger generation and our Pan-African forefathers. Victor, did you meet with Kwame Nkrumah at one time? Did you dine with them or talk with them? Did you meet with Muammar Gaddafi? Did you meet with Mugabe? Say no. Even me, I didn't meet. It is Raila who have met those characters and still knows the younger generation. So it will be a bridge. Currently, the only soul alive that can carry the aspiration of our Pan-African forefathers of uniting Africa into the United States of Africa is none other than His Excellency the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga.
Mheshimiwa Sankok, thank you so much. Member of Parliament, East Africa Legislative Assembly. Today we've talked about his vision and some of the bills that he's taking in Parliament there, and representing the entire block of East Africa Legislative Assembly. He'll be back here once they are done with the sittings that is culminating on 20th of this month, and we'll talk much more on that and much more coming later on. All right, the breaking news that we splashed there is that the Haitian president, beg your pardon, Haiti's unelected prime minister, that is Ariel Henry, has resigned. That is what is there right now. The chair of the Caribbean group of countries has said, following weeks of mounting pressure and increasing violence in the country. It comes after the regional leaders met in Jamaica on Monday to discuss a political transition in Haiti. That is what we have. But be sure to Join us here later on in the program. We'll be giving you more details as and when we receive it. But right about now, I'm taking you across over to Zinga, where we have got Dora Manya there, taking it over with the discussion together with the Honorable Barongo Solfan Obadia, who is MP of Bomachoge Borabu, as well as David Alulu, political and economic analyst. Dora Manya, kazi kwako.
Mkondo mwenzangu katika upande ule wa pili. Karibu tena katika Gumzo Pevu Jumanne ya leo, tuweze kuzungumzia masuala ambayo yanatuhusu sisi kama taifa, na kuna mengi zaidi ambayo pia yameweza kujitokeza katika muda usiokuwa mrefu ambayo ndakujuza tu. Mimi naitwa Dora Manya. Bila shaka zungumza nasi kupitia mitandao yetu ya kijamii, KBC Channel 1, Radio Taifa FM, ama @Dora Manya @Mwamkondo, na uweke hashtag ya Zinga iwapo kuna maswali ama chochote ambacho ungependa tuweze kuangazia, ama pia kulingana na kile ambacho tutazungumza hii leo, unaweza kutupatia maoni yako na itakuwa vizuri tena kabisa. Mtazamaji wa Channel 1 na msikilizaji wa KBC Radio Taifa, ripoti ya mazungumzo ya kitaifa almaarufu NADCO iliwasilishwa kwa Rais William Ruto wiki iliyopita pamoja na kinara wa Azimio Raila Odinga. Ripoti hii imeangazia mambo mbalimbali kama vile mchakato wa kura za mwaka 2022, kudorora kwa uchumi, maendeleo ya kitaifa na mambo mengine mbalimbali. Ripoti hii inapania ama kupatia Kenya nafasi ya kuleta uwiano wa kitaifa, haswa baada ya migawanyiko kushuhudiwa baada ya uchaguzi wa mwaka 2022. Lakini je, mapendekezo ya ripoti hii yatatekelezwa katika njia ipi? Hilo ndilo swali kuu ambalo Wakenya wanauliza, na ili kuchanganua swali hili ama swala hili, niko na wageni hapa studio ambao tutaweza kuangazia swala hili kwa kina tena zaidi. Kwanza kabisa katika mkono wangu wa kushoto, karibu sana Mheshimiwa mbunge wa Bomachoge Borabu, Mheshimiwa Obadia Barongo. Asante kufika katika studio zetu.
Asante sana Dora.
Na vile vile naye Bwana David Alulu ambaye ni mchanganuzi wa masuala ya siasa, si mgeni sana hapa katika studio zetu. Karibu Bwana Alulu.
Shukran.
Asante sana wageni wangu, na kabla tuingie katika masuala ya NADCO, vile Wakenya wa saizi wanaifahamu ile ripoti, taarifa ambazo tumepokea dakika chache zilizopita ni za kujiuzulu kwa Prime Minister wa taifa la Haiti Bwana Ariel Henry, ambaye ameweza sasa kuamua kwamba amejiuzulu yule waziri mkuu. Sijui mnasemaje kuhusu hilo? Kumbuka kwamba genge ambalo limekuwa sasa limeteka nyara nchi limekuwa likisema kwamba kile ambacho wanataka ni kwamba yule waziri mkuu akaweze kujiuzulu, na sasa amejiuzulu. Labda tarajie nini?
Asante sana Dora kwa kunikaribisha hapa. Nikichangia kwenye swala lako, ningependa kusema kwamba jambo la ama tukio la waziri mkuu huyu kujiuzulu ni swala ambalo linatia taharuki katika nchi yake, na si ishara nzuri kwa mkataba wa usalama ambao William Ruto saini na waziri mkuu huyo. Na ningependa kwamba serikali sasa iko na kisingizio kikubwa sana kuhakikisha kwamba inajiondoa kwenye mkataba huu wa usalama, kwa sababu kama kiongozi wa nchi hiyo mwenyewe anaweza kujiuzulu, basi hapana sababu ya serikali yetu kutia ama kuweka mapolisi hawa katika hali ya hatari.
Ningependa kuelewa vizuri mheshimiwa, wakati unasema hamna haja sasa serikali kuweka polisi katika hali ya hatari, sijui unamaanishaje?
Kumbuka usaidizi wowote umefuatia yule waziri mkuu ambaye alikuja hapa Kenya. Kwanza hakuwa waziri mkuu ambaye alikuwa amechaguliwa na watu wake wa Haiti. Kwa hivyo hana mamlaka kamili kufuatia katiba ya Haiti kuingia katika mikataba ya namna alivyofanya na rais wetu. So sioni kwamba na kujiuzulu kwake sasa kunatia wasiwasi kabisa kwamba mfumo huo wa huo mkataba ambao walitia saini haswa ni uko na ile msukumo wa kikatiba ama namna gani? Kwa sababu amejiondoa na kwa sababu ni waziri mkuu ambaye hajachaguliwa na wananchi kwake, na amejiondoa kwa hali ambayo ni ya wasiwasi mno. Kumbuka magenge wamemwambia hata asidhubutu kuingia nchi yake. Tayari hizo ni ishara tosha kwamba wakati huu serikali ijiondoe, kutokana na kwamba kama serikali ile yenyewe haijabakia pale kuhakikisha kwamba usalama ambao tulikuwa tumewapatia unatekelezwa, basi hamna haja ya sisi kama serikali ya Kenya kuweka mapolisi wetu kwa hatari
ya kwenda kule,
kwa hatari ya kuingia katika machafuko ambayo kwa sasa hayaonekani yanaelekea upande upi.
Bwana Lulu, nije kwako. Huyu waziri mkuu amekuwa Kenya siku chache zilizopita tu, na habari umeipokea kwamba ameweza kujiuzulu. Kumbuka hiyo jana hata waziri wa usalama wa kitaifa Profesa Kithure Kindiki alisisitiza kwamba serikali bado inatilia mkazo na msimamo ni ule ule kwamba maafisa wetu wa polisi wataweza kwenda Haiti. Je, ina maana gani sasa kwamba jiuzulu, tutarajia kwamba bado serikali itaendelea shughuli zake za kutuma polisi katika nchi ile?
Asante sana Dora. Kujiuzulu kwa waziri mkuu wa Haiti ni jambo ambalo kwa njia moja au nyingine lilikuwa linatarajiwa kwa kiwango kikubwa. Kama alivyosema mheshimiwa, itaeleweka kwamba makundi ya kigaidi au ambayo yamekuwa yakitatiza nchi hiyo yamekuwa na azimio moja kwamba atoke kwenye ofisi, kwa sababu kwanza hayuko pale kihalali. Namba 2, wale watu wa Haiti wamekuwa wakiitisha kwamba wanataka wafanye uchaguzi wao wa kidemokrasia ili waweze kuwa na viongozi ambao wao wamejiwekea pale. Kwa hivyo licha ya kuwa tunajua kwamba ombi la maafisa wa usalama kutoka Kenya na mataifa mengine, ieleweke kwamba maafisa wa usalama hawatoki Kenya tu. Kuna mataifa mengine ambayo pia yanachangia kwenye ule mkataba. Namba 2, lile ombi halikuwa la Haiti tu, lilikuwa ni ombi la Umoja wa Mataifa. Kwa hivyo huu mkataba sana uko kati ya Kenya na Umoja wa Mataifa. Kile ambacho waziri mkuu wa Haiti, aliyekuwa waziri mkuu sababu sasa amejiuzulu, kile alikuja kufanya, alikuja kuweza kutimiza lile agizo ambalo mahakama ya Kenya ilizungumzia kwamba lazima kukue na sahihi ambayo imewekwa kati ya uongozi wa Kenya na uongozi wa Haiti ili uweze kuhalalisha ule mkataba. Lakini ili lilikuwa ni ombi la Umoja wa Mataifa na mataifa mengine yanayo ambaye the developed countries like USA walikuwa wamechangia kwamba watafadhili iwapo mataifa yatajitokeza kutuma vikosi vyake kule. Kwa hivyo kama itabidi vikosi vya Kenya na zile nchi ambazo zinachangia kwamba watataka ku-withdraw, sasa haitakuwa ni baina ya hizo nchi na Haiti. Itakuwa ni baina ya hizo nchi kama Kenya na Umoja wa Mataifa wakae waseme kufuatia changamoto ambazo zimezidi kuonekana za kiusalama, na kwa sababu sasa yule ambaye alikuwa anaonekana kama symbol of unity wa taifa ambaye ni waziri mkuu ame step down, tunaomba to withdraw ili tupeane nafasi kwa taifa kujipanga. Lakini bado Umoja wa Taifa utasema ili taifa ile lijipange, tunataka usalama. Kwa hivyo vikosi ambavyo tulikuwa tumeomba na mmekubali, njooni msaidie kuchangia wakati huu ambao tunapanga. Nataka kufikiria kwamba kutawekwa ile inaitwa the government of transition, ambapo lazima kuwe na kiongozi pale ambaye atasaidia ile taifa kujipanga kwa ajili ya uchaguzi na mambo mengine kuwekwa sawa. Labda kutakuwa na cohesion ambayo itawekwa pale. Haya magenge ya kijambazi, wananchi na viongozi wengine wakae kwa meza waseme ili kuweza kurejesha taifa letu mahali panapostahili. Huu ndio mwelekeo.
Kwa hivyo huenda mission itaendelea kuhakikisha wale maafisa
wameenda. Kuna uwezekano mission itaendelea. Kufikia sasa hakuna kinachozuia Kenya na mataifa yote ambayo yanachangia kutoenda Haiti. Sababu ombi lilikuwa la Umoja wa Mataifa na Umoja wa Mataifa hajasema kwamba sasa tumejitoa. Kwa hivyo na Kenya ni member wa Umoja wa Mataifa. We are a member of this international community. Hawezi wakazi kumoja ukasema eti kwa sababu kumetokea changamoto sisi tumewithdraw. Actually usalama unapeleka viongozi ama walinzi wa usalama mahali ambapo hapana usalama. Hauendi kwa palace kwenda kukaa kukula matunda na kustareheka. Unaenda mahali ambapo kuna shida ya usalama, alafu pale unaweka usalama ndio watu wajue kwamba unafanya kazi.
Shikilia pale kwa sekunde 30 labda kila mmoja wenu. Tunaweza kujifunza nini kutoka Haiti? Manake tumeona ghasia, watu wameuawa, wapoteza maisha, ukiangalia watoto, watu wamepoteza makazi yao, na hatimaye huyu waziri mkuu amekuja kujiuzulu, na wale wananchi wakitaka uchaguzi wa kidemokrasia. Kama taifa Kenya tunaweza kujifunza nini kutoka kule, kwamba watu wamesukuma sana ondoka mamlakani, lakini hatimaye ndio anaondoka, lakini tayari tunaona madhara yapo, ikiwemo watu kupoteza maisha yao kama taifa la Kenya. Manake pia hapa Kenya tuliona maandamano yalikuwa baada ya muda mrefu, watu wamepoteza maisha, kisha baadaye tunasema basi wacha kuwe na kamati ya maridhiano ambayo imetokana, ambayo hatimaye imekuja kuwa na ile ripoti ya NADCO. Unasemaje mheshimiwa?
Nashukuru kwa sababu Kenya ni nchi ambayo tumekuwa na mazoea ya kwamba kukiwa na kutofahamiana kwa jambo lolote, hasa kura, ya kwamba tunakubali kwamba Kenya ni kubwa zaidi ya sisi wote, na kwamba kuna haja ya makubaliano, mazungumzo ili suluhu ipatikane. Kwa hivyo ningependa kupongeza Rais William Ruto pamoja na party leader wetu Baba Raila Odinga kwa sababu ya kukubali kuketi chini kupitia kwa hii kamati ya NADCO na kusuluhisha yale ambayo yangeleta ama yangeendelea kuruhusu machafuko katika nchi yetu. Swala la Haiti ni swala ambalo liko very sad. Wanakuwa wanatafuta amani kwa muda mrefu, na jambo hili la Umoja wa Mataifa kuingilia kati na nchi zingine kujaribu kuangalia namna ya kusupport hiyo nchi ni jambo ambalo linafaa kuwa supported, lakini kuwe na utaratibu ambao utasitisha makabiliano kati ya pande zinazohusika ili wananchi wasiendelee kupoteza maisha katika nchi hiyo.
Kwa sekunde 30 Bwana Lulu.
Kama nchi nadhani tuko na mambo mengi ya kujifunza kwa yanayotokea Haiti. Mojawapo kwamba kuna haja ya kuwa na uwiano, na nishukuru kama alivyosema mheshimiwa, nchi yetu ya Kenya licha ya kuwa tumekuwa na changamoto za kisiasa na wakati mwingi tunakuwa na kutoelewana kisiasa, lakini wito unapojitokeza kwamba tuketi chini tuzungumze, tumeona kwa historia yetu kuanzia 2007 tukakuja 2017 na hata sasa tumeona kwamba wito unapojitokeza kwamba hey bwana, ketini chini mzungumze, watu wanakubali, wanazungumza, tunakuwa na jinsi ambavyo tunaweza kutatua matatizo yetu kiundani. Kwa hivyo funzo ni kwamba, ama tuchukue lesson kwamba kuna umuhimu wa watu kuzungumziana. Yani mazungumzo yanafaa sana. Desturi za kujipiga kifua na kusema sasa mimi ndio nipo, mimi ndio nimepata, kidogo unaona. Mfano wa Haiti, huyu waziri mkuu alikuwa amekataa katakata, akasema mpende msipende, mimi sitajiuzulu. Lakini sasa ni vile pressure imekuwa mingi na watu wake, ule kiongozi wa ugaidi, wacha tumuita hivyo sababu alijapata jina nzuri ya kumuita, alisema usipojiuzulu kutakuwa hapa na genocide. Sasa nadhani kwa sababu ya hile pressure international community, kulingana na yale mambo ambayo yalikuwa yameshafanyika, magereza yamevunjwa, watu wanapoteza mali na maisha, nadhani international community ikaongeza pressure kwamba kwa sababu ya watu na nchi yako, sababu country comes first before individual. Tukubali. So kama nchi tukubali kwamba tunahitaji, kuna umuhimu kabisa watu kuzungumza na pia kuheshimiana, kwa sababu pasipo na heshima mara nyingi unakuta watu wanaanza kukuwa na ile kuchukiana na mambo kama yale. So cohesion.
Okay. Shukrani sana mtazamaji na msikilizaji, natumai ya kwamba unazidi kumakinika. Kama kuna lolote basi tufuatilie katika mitandao yetu ya kijamii, itakuwa vizuri kabisa. Tuingilie swala hili la ripoti ya NADCO ama kamati ya uwiano ambayo tayari kinara wa Azimio Rais Daktari William Ruto ameweza kuipokea. Na kuna njia mbili, nikianza nayo mheshimiwa, ya kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba ripoti hii inaweza kutekelezwa. Tutakuja baadaye kwa wale ambao wanasema itekelezwe ilivyo na wengine wanasema tunaweza fanyia mabadiliko, lakini kuna njia mbili. Kamati ya Seneti na vile vile bunge la taifa wana njia mbili, moja ikiwa ni kupitia kura ya maoni ambayo ni referendum, na vile vile kuna ile tunasema parliamentary route. Tusaidie kuelewa iwapo ripoti hii itatekelezwa kupitia katika njia ya bunge, ina maana gani ama itafanyika vipi?
Katiba yetu ya Kenya inahitaji kwamba kukiwa na mabadiliko yoyote kwenye mfumo wa serikali wa nchi, lazima mabadiliko hayo yatekelezwe kwa njia ya kura ya maamuzi, yani referendum. Ukiangalia kuna recommendation ya kuleta prime minister, pia kuna recommendation ya kubuni ofisi ya kiongozi wa upinzani. Hiyo itabadili mfumo wa uongozi wa nchi, na kwa hivyo hiyo itahitaji kwamba lazima mapendekezo hayo yaletwe kwa kura ya maamuzi. Mabadiliko mengine yoyote ambayo hayatalenga mfumo wa uongozi wa nchi, hayo yanaweza kutekelezwa kwa kupitia miswada ambayo itajadiliwa bungeni kwa njia ya kawaida ya miswada nyingine ambayo imekuwa ikiletwa katika floor ya bunge. Ndio.
Bwana Lulu, nikija kwako, iwapo tutaenda katika kura ya maoni, itakuwa vipi kijua kwamba saizi tume ya uchaguzi na mipaka haiko pale, IBC ipo, kura yote ya maoni tunahitaji kuwa na tume huru kuwa pale. Iwapo ndio njia hiyo, mustakabali ni upi?
Ndiposa unaona ni vigumu sana kujaribu kusema hii ripoti iweze kuwa implemented jinsi ilivyo. Ni vigumu sana kwa sababu kuna vitu ambavyo ni lazima ziwekwe sawa kabla ya kwenda hatua nyingine. Kwa hivyo itaenda hatua baada ya nyingine ili jambo moja likaweze kuongoza kwenda kwa hatua nyingine. Kwa mfano kwenye hii ripoti ya NADCO kuna recommendation kwamba kuteuliwa kwa tume ya uchaguzi yafaa ifanywe in consultation na all stakeholders. Kwa hivyo mimi nikifikiria sasa labda hapo ndipo macho yote itaenda kuangazia sasa, kwa sababu sasa hivi tunavyozungumza actually hapa nchini Kenya kuna eneo bunge halijakuwa na mbunge for more than 1 year. Wakati ambao mheshimiwa Barongo anapeana basari huko kwake, kuna eneo bunge hapa Kenya hawajui hiyo basari itayowafikia lini. Kwa hivyo nadhani itabidi wale ambao walitengeneza na watekelezaji wake sasa ambao kwa sasa nadhani bunge ina mchango mkubwa wa kufanya, ni sasa kuweka mikakati na kuweka time frame kwamba kuanzia wakati huu kufika wakati huu tunaweza kuachieve hili. Kwa sababu ukweli ni kwamba alivyosema mheshimiwa, kuna vipengee vya katiba hauwezi ukagusa. Kama for example tunaposema tunataka kiongozi wa upinzani, tunataka waziri mkuu, lazima mwananchi wa kawaida awe na usemi pale, na kama mwananchi atakuwa na usemi pale, inamaanisha lazima commission iwepo ili tufanye referendum. IBC kama ilivyo sasa hivi hatuna uwezo wa kufanya uchaguzi wa aina yote ile, tuko tu pale kwa jina tu IBC, lakini hatuna utekelezaji. Kwa hivyo kuna uwezekano kwamba ripoti hii itaweza kukaa sana kabla iwe implemented. Kuna uwezekano hii ripoti ililetwa kwa sababu ya kutuliza ile temperatures, pressure irudi chini.
Zile siku 45 ambazo zimepeanwa.
Unajua shida ya Kenya, watu wengi inafaa waelewe kwamba Kenya is a political country. Hata tusitumie democratic, is a political country. Na shida zetu zinatatuliwa kisiasa. Na hii ripoti ilikuja kama remedy kuweza kusuluhisha temperatures. Na tumekuwa tukizungumzia pale awali ghasia za Haiti. Kama Kenya hawangekubali uketi chini Rais Ruto na kiongozi wa upinzani Raila Odinga, kama hawangekubali kwamba wacha tuwe na mazungumzo, kuna uwezekano nchi sasa hivi tungekuwa mahali pabaya. Lakini walipokubali wakaketi, tulitafuta ile remedy ya kuweza kusuluhisha ile tatizo, na baada ya hapo, kwa sababu kwa njia moja au nyingine tayari Rais na Raila kiongozi wa upinzani walikuwa wameshafanya handshake chini ya meza, unaona sasa ikakuwa baba anakuwa proposed kwenda chairman AU, na pressure ya huko inaenda ikirudi chini, mambo inaenda ikiisha. So moving forward, pressure ya maandamano imeisha Kenya. Moving forward, mambo ya kupiga kelele imeisha. So hii ilikuwa ya kutuliza pressure, na pressure imetulia. 45 days haziwezi kamake, hata haiwezekani, kwa sababu utaangalia hata ripoti yenyewe wakati ilianza. Mwanzo walisema siku 30, wakasema siku 60, wakasema tuongeze ikuwe 90. Kama kutengeneza ripoti ilichukua more than 45 days, how do you intend to implement a report that was constructed in 90 days to
kwa hivyo uone ripoti ikitekelezwa au vipi?
Haiwezi kutekelezwa. Mambo machache yatawekwa kwa sababu bado tunataka pressure ipunguzwe, lakini mambo mengi sana yatangoja mpaka 2032.
Kwa hivyo na pesa mlipa ushuru, wakati unasema kwamba hizi tekelezwa na wale wanachama waliketi na pesa za mlipa ushuru.
Lakini ni Kenya Dora hapa Kenya, na mheshimiwa hapa atakubaliana na mimi, hii ni Kenya ambapo hakuna mtu anajali pesa za mlipa ushuru. Kuanzia kwa viongozi ambao wamechaguliwa, kwa viongozi wamepewa nafasi, wametunikiwa nafasi ya kutumikia nchi, wote hakuna mtu anajali pesa ya mlipa ushuru. So long as mtu amepewa allowance yake na amepata kitu cha kukula. Hawa watu wengine wanaona kama sisi tunaona kama hatuna haja. So kwa hivyo hii pesa ya mlipa ushuru ile ambayo imeenda pale na ile kidogo itaenda pale, tukubali tu kwamba ni hivyo. Hii ni Kenya.
Mheshimiwa anataka kusema kitu. Unasema kwamba upo uwezekano kwamba ripoti hii itatekelezwa. Wewe ni mwanaazimio.
Alulu akisema hakuna Mkenya anayejali fedha za wananchi ambazo zimetumika katika exercise hii. Ningependa kumkumbusha kwamba Mheshimiwa Eugene Wamalwa aliandika barua ya kukataa kwamba yeye malimbikizo yoyote ambayo alikuwa ametengewa kwa ajili ya kuhusika kwake katika kamiti hii, yeye amesema kwamba hizo fedha hazihitaji. So kwa hivyo kuna Wakenya ambao wanajali kwamba pesa za wananchi zimetumika pale.
Lakini mheshimiwa, kumbuka huenda alikataa pia kwa sababu unajua mwanzoni hakubaliana pia na ile ripoti.
Na pia kuna nia za kisiasa. Lazima tukubali.
Hapana, yeye mwenyewe ukimsikiza alisema kwamba lengo la kamati lilikuwa la kushusha gharama ya maisha na hilo halikutekelezwa, kwa hivyo haoni haja ya kuchukua zile allowances. Na hiyo katika public domain inaonekana kama nzuri kwa sababu inalenga kuonyesha wananchi kwamba anajali kwamba wananchi wanapolipa zile allowances wanapata ile value ambaye walikuwa wamepania kupata kutokana na juhudi zao za kutaka kupata afueni kutokana na hali hiyo ya juu ya gharama ya maisha. Kwenye NADCO report ukimsikiza rais wa nchi alisema kwamba yeye yuko committed kuhakikisha kwamba mapendekezo yale yatatekelezwa. Kwa upande mwingine, kwa hivyo ni maoni ya Lulu kwamba pengine ripoti mapendekezo hayatafanywa, lakini going by wale principles ni kwamba wako very committed kuhakikisha kwamba ripoti hii inatekelezwa ili kwa nafasi nyingine tupate suluhu ya kudumu ya kuhakikisha kwamba hatuna sintofahamu kati yetu wakati wote tunapokuwa hatuelewani kwa namna moja ama nyingine. Ndio.
Tumemsikia kinara wa Azimio ambaye pia ni kinara wako akisisitiza na umeligusia kwa ufupi kwamba hii ripoti kaweze kutekelezwa kikamilifu pasipo mabadiliko yoyote. Kwa nini unafikiria kwamba kuna ule msukumo? Na pia ametaja kwamba kuna wale ambao ni maadui kwenye serikali na nje ya serikali, nje ya bunge na ndani ya bunge, maadui wa hii ripoti. Kwa nini kinara wa Azimio anasisitiza kwamba hii ripoti tekelezwe ilivyo pasi na mabadiliko yoyote?
Kinara wa Azimio Raila ni Mkenya ambaye wakati mwingi sana amefanya kila linalohitajika kuhakikisha kwamba nchi imetulia na kuleta nchi pamoja. Yeye ni statesman. Yeye ni mtu ambaye wakati mwingi amefanya sacrifices zake mwenyewe kuhakikisha kwamba nchi hii inasonga mbele. Na kumbuka umri wake unamruhusu na amekuwa katika siasa kwa muda usio mfupi. Yule ni veteran, ni mbabe, yani katika experience yake ukisikia amesema kwamba ripoti hii itekelezwe namna ilivyo, ni kutokana na ule ujuzi wake ni kutokana na experiences zake. Amepigwa tear gas, amefungwa, ameona serikali zenye zimekuja na zenye zimeenda. Ni mtu ambaye akisema kwamba ripoti hii ni nzuri, ni kwa sababu anajua hiyo ripoti itaunganisha Wakenya. Na kwa hivyo hatuna budi ila kufuata yale ambao wazee wetu wamerecommend. Na katika nafasi kama hiyo yake, baba, unajua akisema hiki ni kizuri, ni kizuri.
Hata kama
kwa sababu ni mwana demokrasia. Na ukiangalia hata mfumo ukiangalia ripoti yenyewe, elections zetu zimekuwa ni elections ambazo ni winner take all. Ni vizuri kwamba wale ambao wamepoteza pia wapate nafasi yao na wawe facilitated kuhakikisha kwamba ile oversight inafanyika. Kumbuka role ya opposition ni kuhakikisha kwamba kazi yao ni kuhakikisha kwamba wana oversight serikali. Wangefanya hivyo namna gani kama hamna namna yoyote ambayo wanaweza kutekeleza wajibu wao? Kwa hivyo kikatiba ni vizuri hiyo ofisi iwe, ili tuweze kutekeleza wajibu wetu kwa namna ambayo inafaa.
Bwana Lulu, nikija kwako, umesoma hii ripoti, kuna mengi ambayo yako pale, tumezungumzia na tutakuwa tunagusia labda zile fedha kama vile za Senate, World Development Funds hiyo katika katiba, kuna mambo ya audit ama kuangalia upya, kukagua uchaguzi ambao ulipita na mambo mengine mbalimbali. Wakati vinara wa Azimio wanasema kwamba ile ripoti tekelezwe ilivyo pasipo na mabadiliko yoyote, unaridhishwa?
Mwanzo ninaposema hii ripoti itatekelezwa, niko na ushahidi kwamba tuliwahi kuwa na commission ilikuwa inaitwa TRJC, Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission, ambapo ilitumia mamilioni ya pesa za umma, na ilipopeanwa kwa serikali kutekelezwa. Nakumbuka wakati huo Kiplagat marehemu State House akisema hii ripoti ikitekelezwa, shida za Kenya za ardhi, matatizo ya kugombea sijui nani yako na shamba kubwa itaisha. Ilipofika State House hiyo ripoti, licha ya kuwa rais wakati huo bwana rais mstaafu Uhuru alisema watatekeleza to the latter, haikuwahi. Sasa hivi hiyo ripoti iko somewhere inapata vumbi tu. Kulikuja tukakuwa na ripoti ya Krigla kuhusiana na tume ya uchaguzi. Aliposema ni vizuri makomishona ambao watasimamia IEBC waweko ofisini angalau miaka 2 kabla ya uchaguzi. Na ripoti ikapeanwa kwa rais na wakasema tutazingatia hii ripoti na tutaimplement. Wewe na mimi tunajua election iliyomalizika 2022 kilicholeta changamoto nyingi kwa hiyo uchaguzi ni wakati ambapo makomishona 4 waliletwa barely a few months before election, ambapo hawakuwa na muda hata wa kuweza kufamiliarize na systems na jinsi mambo yanavyofanywa na mambo mengine tu ambayo yanafanyika. Hii ni Kenya nimesema, na Kenya is the only country ambapo wakati ambayo report inatengenezwa kila mtu anasema hii iko sawa kabisa, inapopeana kila mtu anasema iko implemented to the latter, lakini kwa ground vitu ni different kwa sababu kila mtu ana interest zake. So hii ripoti wakati ambapo tunazungumzia mambo ambayo yanamhusu mwananchi wa kawaida, kuna vitu vingi sana ambavyo havitakuwa implemented. The only part mimi naona hapa itaimplementiwa kwa haraka sana, na ikienda kwa bunge itafanywa mambo ya haraka ni oversight ya Senate, kwa sababu hapo sasa pesa zinaenda kwa mifuko ya senators. Hapo watashughulika hii mambo ifanywe haraka ikamilishwe. Lakini in reality nadhani kama kuna ukweli kwenye hii ripoti ambayo inafaa izingatiwe na tuweze kuona matunda yake, ni number 1 kuhakikisha kwamba changamoto ambazo zimekuwa zikikumba ile kamati ya kuteua IEBC commissioners inapewa mamlaka kufanya kazi yake haraka iwezekanavyo. Kama ingefanyika then tutajua kwamba kuna nia from both ends kuhakikisha kwamba hii imetekelezwa, kwa sababu at some point wakati mahakama ilisema kamati ambayo ilipewa majukumu ya kufanya hii iendelee, kiongozi wa upinzani alisema haiwezekani mpaka ripoti ya NADCO itoke iko implemented. So hii ripoti imetoka. Mimi nadhani the first pronouncement ambayo ingefanywa na viongozi wa upande zote especially kwa upinzani ingekuwa sasa, sababu ripoti imetoka, tunataka tuweke mikakati kwa kesha IEBC imeweka, sababu tuna boundaries ambazo zinafaa zikuwe reviewed. Actually barely few, I think it is supposed to be next month, lakini sasa hatuna commission. Kwa hivyo constituency kama yangu ya Hamisi ambayo tunaomba igawe ikuwe mara 2, bado tuna risk kukaa hivyo venye tuko kwa miaka zingine mingi tu, Mungu anajua hadi lini. Kwa hivyo ni uongo tukisema kwamba hii ripoti itakuwa implemented. Haitakuwa implemented, na kama itakuwa implemented ni vipengee vichache sana vitakuwa implemented, kwa sababu nimesema ya kuweza kutuliza zile temperatures na pressure ambazo zitatoka kwa wanasiasa wakati ambapo hii mambo haijaweza kuzingatiwa kama jinsi ambavyo inafaa kufanya. Kuna jambo lizungumzia wakati tunaanza, ulisema aliyekuwa namba 2 alikuwa Raila Odinga. Na sasa hivi iwapo maombi ya Wakenya, mimi nikiwa mmoja wao, itaenda through venye tunataka baba apate wenyekiti wa Africa Union Commission, then pressure ya kutaka kuwa na official position leader kwa bunge itakuwa imeenda chini, na sasa itangoja miaka zingine kadhaa kabla iko implemented.
Umegusia swala ambalo tulikuwa tunaongea kabla tuende hewani, na wacha nikuje kwako mheshimiwa, swala hilo la tayari kuna pendekezo katika ile ripoti kubuniwa kwa afisi ya Prime Minister na vile vile leader of opposition akiwa na deputies ama manaibu wawili, na pia katika ile ripoti yule ambaye anafaa kuchukua ile kiti anafaa kuangalau alikuwa angalau namba 2 kutoka uchaguzi ambao ulipita, na tunajua kwamba Raila alikuja namba 2 kulingana na ile matokeo ama yale matokeo ambayo yalikuwa. Sasa itakuwa vipi iwapo sasa Raila atapata ule wenyekiti wa Umoja wa Afrika ambao kwa sasa ameonyesha azma yake kwamba anataka kwenda kule Addis Ababa?
Nafikiri kwa sasa tuangalie Raila bado hajapata nafasi hiyo ya wenyekiti wa Umoja wa Afrika. Pengine tukiangalia sasa katika ile miswada kutakuwa na namna ambavyo ikiwa yule aliyekuwa namba 2 amechukua hiyo nafasi ya AU chairpersonship, sasa pengine tutaangalia katika ikiwa kwamba yeye hata kweko sasa, pengine sheria iangalie kwamba yule atakaye aliyekuwa sasa katika nafasi
ya tatu. Nakumbuka Raila amesema ripoti itekelezwe ilivyo, sio?
Ndio.
So huenda kwa na sheria wazungumze tena waone kama labda ataondoka, mwachie mwenzake ambaye alifuata kutoka pale.
Lakini ukiangalia ni wale waliopigiwa kura. Okay. So itakuwa ngumu kupata mtu sasa itakuwa mtu wa tatu hapo. Kuna lakini kisheria bado I think bado wanaweza kubuni, tunaweza kuangalia kwa mswada, pengine kutakuwa na mfumo wa kuchagua atakaye shikilia hiyo nafasi ikiwa hakuwa amepigiwa kura, lakini awe anatoka kutoka kwa chama ambacho kiko na wawakilishi wa eneo za bunge wengi zaidi. So ikiwa haitakuwa Raila kwa sababu atakuwa ameenda AU, pengine sasa tutaangalia mfumo wa kuchagua kiongozi wa hicho chama ambacho kilipata umaarufu mkubwa katika nafasi ya 2 katika uchaguzi. Ndio.
Bwana Lulu, sitaki kugusia hilo. Naona nataka kugusia hilo sana, lakini muda unasonga, tunafaa kwenda mbele kidogo. Nataka tuangalie
muhimu sana nigusie. Muhimu sana. Muhimu sana.
Sekunde 30 tafadhali.
Hili jambo nadhani mtazamo wake sio kwamba individual kama jinsi unavyosema kwamba Raila ndiye alikuwa wa 2. Hapa sasa nadhani tutatazama na mtazamo ya chama. Chama kilichopata ushindi, alafu chama kilichokuwa cha 2. Na kwa hiyo tuseme kwa mfano sasa hivi God forbid that if the president who is sitting right now angekuwa diseased, the deputy wake automatically occupy the seat of honor, anakuwa president. So I'm trying to imagine kwamba iwapo ingewezekana ama akifanikiwa Raila Odinga kwenda AU, alafu ifike kwamba hicho kipengee sasa kimepita, tunataka kuwa na kiongozi wa upinzani, then Azimio ambaye sasa inatambulika kama kiongozi chama cha upinzani watakuwa na nafasi kati yao sasa kusema sisi ndio chama kilichopata umaarufu namba 2, na aliyekuwa kiongozi wetu flag bearer exit the stage, ameenda upande mwingine, so tunataka miongoni mwetu tupate kiongozi. So maybe maybe aliyekuwa running mate wake apewe nafasi, ama wakae chini waseme who is the most senior among stars, ama anaweza kuoccupy hiyo nafasi, tumfront akuwe yeye ndio. Sasa wenyewe wakae wachague mmoja wao ambaye ataoccupy hiyo nafasi opposition.
Okay, umeeleza vizuri. Muda unasonga. Mheshimiwa, kuna mambo mawili ambayo nataka tuangazie kabla tusikie wananchi wanasema namna gani. Na sasa hivi jambo la kwanza ambalo linajitokeza sana ni kukaguliwa kwa yale matokeo ya mwaka 2022 ambapo tayari naona upande wa Azimio Amos wako anafaa kuongoza na kadhalika. Asubuhi nimekuwa nikizungumza na wananchi na wengine wanasema kwa nini tuende katika kukagua yale matokeo? Tayari tunazungumzia mwaka 2027. Kwa nini tusisonge tu mbele? Upo umuhimu gani katika yale matokeo kukaguliwa tena, ama ule uchaguzi ambao ulipita kukaguliwa, audit?
Kuna haja ya kuelewa uchaguzi uliopita ulikuwa na shida gani, ili zile shida zitatuliwe. Ndio tukifanya uchaguzi utakaokuja 2027 yale yaliyokumba uchaguzi wa 2022 yawe yametatuliwa. So kuna sababu tulienda kotini kuteta kwa sababu hatukuona kwamba matokeo yale ya 2022 yalikuwa ya halali. So kuna haja ya kuhakikisha kwamba zile shida ambazo zilijitokeza zitatuliwe ili tuwe na election ya 2027 ambayo itakuwa bora zaidi ya 2022. Kama nchi lazima kuwe na haja ya kutafuta perfection, yani ya kuangalia kwamba tunaangalia kwamba systems zetu kila wakati zinapiga hatua kwenda mbele ya kuhakikisha kwamba mambo yanaendeshwa sawa sawa. Hiyo ndio sababu kuu ya kuhakikisha kwamba tutakapokwenda 2027 tuhakikishe kwamba zile shida ambazo zilikuweko 2022 zitatuliwe, so that 2027 tuwe na election ambayo ni nzuri zaidi.
Bwana Lulu, umuhimu wa kukaguliwa kwa matokeo ya uchaguzi uliopita.
Mwanzo nilisema these are political process, na political process inamaanisha kuna watu fulani ambao wangependa kuhisi kwamba yale ambayo tulizungumzia yameweza kutimika. Mheshimiwa alizungumzia kiongozi wa DAP Eugene ambaye aliandika akasema yeye hataki kuchukua sitting allowance ya kikao cha NADCO. That is a political statement. Yeye anataka kuonekana kwamba hey, mimi ni mzuri sana, mimi siwezi kubaliana hivi na ndiposa nimeamua hivyo. So tumejua kwamba wanaazimio mojawapo wa mambo ambayo walipresent wakati ambapo wanaenda kwenye kikao ilikuwa tunataka uchaguzi ya 2020 audited. Sio sasa kisheria, kisiasa, kwa sababu kisheria tayari tulishamaliza hiyo process na mahakama ikatoa pronunciation na kila mtu anajua nini ambayo kilifanyika. Lakini so that we satisfy the political urge, ile hamu ya kuweza kuprove something, there is a need ya hili jambo kufanyika. Licha ya kuwa najua halitafanyika, lakini there is a need ya hili kufanyika to satisfy that ego na kila kitu, kwa sababu mwisho wa siku tuangalie hivi. Aliyekuwa kiongozi, ama kwa sababu hajaondoka, kiongozi wa Azimio alikuwa frontline wakati wa maandamano kusema hii na hii na hii lazima itekelezwe. Lakini mimi na wewe pia ni mashahidi kwamba in the recent past tumeona Raila Odinga akiwa amerelax, amecalm, na sasa focus yake ati imeshift from the local to the African Union Commission, ambapo kwa njia moja pia serikali na msupport. So hatuna budi kusema na kukiri kwamba kuna some sort of mapatano kati ya Raila Odinga na William Ruto, ambapo kwa njia moja ukifuata polepole, na nikikwambia hii report haitakuwa implemented fully venye wanasema, ni kwa sababu utaona kwamba aliyekuwa anaweka msukumo zaidi mambo haya yafanyike tayari amechukua the back seat. Na siku moja nilisema hapa, kuna mtu mmoja tu hapa Kenya kwa sasa hivi ambaye ako na uwezo akizungumza ukuta za Kenya zinatetemeka, anaitwa Raila Amolo Odinga. Akinyamaza mambo inanyamaza. Kwa hivyo wanaobaki kwenye hii stage, licha ya kuwa viongozi wa Azimio bungeni wameshatamka kwamba wao wameshaandaa timu yao ambayo itaenda upande ule kuenda ku-audit, hawezi wakaenda peke yao, lazima wangoje mrengo ule mwingine wa serikali. Sasa swali ni mrengo wa serikali wametoa, na kama hawajatoa watatoa lini? Mwisho wa siku utarealize hakuna mtu akona haraka. Toeni majina, tangazeni, pigeni paredi, lakini mwisho wa siku sauti ni moja. Akisema tuiname, tunainama. Baba.
Kabla tupokee simu 2-3 upande wa pili, mheshimiwa, kuna jambo ambalo ni muhimu sana nafikiri kwa wananchi, na wewe ni mbunge na najua mnatangamana na wananchi pale tunasema kwa ground ama pale mashinani, na pia kulikuwa na pendekezo kwamba ile World Development Fund pia ikaweze kuwa sehemu ya katiba iwe rasmi Najua kuna mambo pia ya pesa ile ya Senate Oversight Fund na mambo ya ngafu na zingine mbalimbali. Nataka tuzungumzie World Development Fund, umuhimu wake labda kufanya iwe sheria rasmi, na mwananchi atafaidi kivipi iwapo hii itatekelezwa kikamilifu.
World Development Fund itakuwa I think ni fund ambayo itakuwa under ma MCA. Ni kama tu NGCDF ambayo iko chini ya wabunge. I think ni swala ambalo ni nzuri kwa sababu at the end of the day bado ni kufanya devolution iwe more effective, kuhakikisha kwamba fedha na rasilimali za nchi zinafika to the world level. I think ni jambo nzuri, na I think kwamba sisi kama bunge tutahakikisha kwamba tumelipea support ambayo linahitaji. Ndio.
Upo uwezekano kwamba maendeleo labda yatafika kwa wananchi kwa karibu zaidi? Ninyi wabunge ndio mna fund yenu, mmesema NGCDF.
Ndio.
Na sasa wakipata yao kutakuwa na utofauti katika maendeleo.
Nikikupatia example ya Kisii County. Sasa hivi the governor I think anapatia ma MCAs bursary ya kimo cha I think shilingi milioni 5 ambazo zinakuwa chini ya usimamizi wa member of county assembly. So kuna ma MCAs wako na pesa zao za bursaries, alafu sisi mimi kama mjumbe pia niko na kitita changu cha bursaries ambazo napeana. So at the end of the day unapata kwamba bursaries ambazo mjumbe analipa na zenye MCA analipa kwa wananchi zinakuwa zaidi ya ingekuwa kwamba ni mbunge pekee ambaye ako na uwezo wa kupeana. So World Development Fund I think ni nzuri kwa sababu rasilimali za nchi nimekwambia zitafika katika world level. Ndio.
Naomba tupokee simu chache kwanza na jumbe chache upande wa pili wa studio. Bwana Lulu, najua na kesi nami lakini tutarejea. Kuna swala ambalo ningependa wewe uligusie kidogo tu upande wa pili. Rashid Mwamkondo, kama mtaweza kuvalia hivyo, kama kuna simu 2-3 na jumbe kutoka upande wa pili.
Asante sana mwenzangu Dora Manye upande wa pili, nafuatilia mazungumzo. Lulu akubali kushindwa. 0700176699 msikilizaji, ndo nambari zetu za moja kwa moja hewani. Unaweza kutupigia simu na kuuliza maswali yako, na tafadhali unapokuja hewani kuwa direct tu, Mheshimiwa Barongo na Bwana Lulu watasikia. Hello Zinga.
Dora.
Yes.
Rashid.
Unasikika tu, ina shida. Dora Rashid wote ni mmoja tu.
Najua huyo. Sasa tunasema hivi Rashid, kwa upande wa serikali kwa hii kiti ya AU wameshabikia Raila sana. Na wamemsifu, wamempa majina, mshujaa, mpiganiaji wa haki. Lakini shida imetokea wapi wakati sasa anaposimama kiti cha urais humu nchini?
Asante, swali limeeleweka. Hello Zinga.
Hello Rashid na Dora na studio ingine, studio B. Ni moyo la jabi. Swali yangu ni kidogo lakini wacha niulize tu Bwana Rashid. Mbona wabunge wanabidisha maskari wetu waende Haiti na hawawezi shughulikia mambo ya Baringo, na Baringo ni nyumbani? So mbona wajatuma maskari kama wale wenye wametuma huko?
Point noted. Hello Zinga.
Rashid.
Yes sir.
Huyu ni Michael Kamale kutoka Witu. Wacha niulize hivi. Wakati wote katika uchaguzi anakuwa ameshindwa, anasema ameshindwa. Tayari wanadhibitisha ama wanasisitiza kwamba ifunguliwe.
Alright, simu moja ya mwisho. Hello Zinga.
Hello Rashid.
Yes.
Katika Donald Wanjala wa Kimama Bungoma County.
Swali lako nduku.
Wako kama baba. Ataenda alafu baada ya miaka 4 badala ya 4 aende 2, a step down.
Je, hatima yake itakuwa wapi katika mambo ya siasa?
Asante Dora, nadhani zimetosha kwa sababu ya muda, tuende kazi.
Shukran sana Rashid, upande wa pili tumekupata vizuri na wageni wangu umepata maswali vizuri. Wacha nianze na wewe Bwana Lulu. Sijui ni lipi ambalo ungependa kugusia kwa ufupi sana, tuna dakika chache.
Asante. Wajua jambo la World Development Fund licha ya kuwa ni jambo zuri kwa sababu kila kiongozi atakuwa na pesa zake, but mimi nimekuwa na changamoto juzi wakati ambapo tumekuwa tukizungumzia mambo ya basari za elimu. Wakati tunapata serikali kuu iko na basari, mbunge ako na basari, governor ako na basari, MCA anataka akwe na basari, but still tuko na watoto wako nyumbani hawasomi kwa sababu hawajasaidika. Mimi nikawa nafikiria, na sababu mheshimiwa hapa tutaongea naye tuone vile tunaweza fanya, mimi nitapeleka private bill anisaidie ipite, kwamba tu collapse hizi mabasari zote, tukuwe na national fund ambayo ina facilitate education across the board, so that mbunge hana basari na MCA hakuna mtu anang'ang'ania. Pesa za maendeleo zikuwe ni maendeleo na infrastructure development. Lakini sasa shida ambayo tuko nayo, kila mtu hapa Kenya, kila kiongozi anataka apewe kitita chake, ndio akienda kwa watu anasema mimi nimekuja na yangu inakaa namna hivi, yule mwingine alipewa kidogo, mimi ndio nimekuja na mimi. So inakuwa ni kama competition. Mheshimiwa lazima akubali. Tunataka watoto wote wasome hapa Kenya. Lakini sababu
kwamba hizi zote tukue na fund moja tu ya NGCDF
ile fund ambayo inafanya vizuri zaidi ya hizi zote ni hiyo National Government Constituency Development Fund. Hiyo bazari ambayo iko chini ya mwongozo wa wabunge iko very effective. Hiyo itabakia.
No, haiko effective kwa sababu kuna mbunge anapeana shillings 2000 kama basari ya kwenda kwa shule mwaka mzima.
Kwa sababu idadi ya wanafunzi
ukipeana basari ya 2000 kwa mwanafunzi ambaye anafaa alipe 50000 shuleni, honestly what have you done?
Idadi ya wanafunzi iko juu.
Lakini wacha tuliache hiyo, ni conversation tutaenda kuzungumzia huko nyuma ya tent, tuipeleke bungeni.
Tuna dakika nafikiri 5 chini ya 5 kuweza kumaliza.
Sawa. Maswali ambayo tuende kwa maswali ambayo tumeulizwa, ambapo nime note kidogo ule bwana anazungumzia kwamba serikali inamsifu sana Raila kwa sababu ya kwenda African Union. Unajua Raila sasa sio opposition tena, tukizungumzia mambo ya African Union. Raila ni Mkenya na anapoenda kule anaenda kwa heshima ya taifa la Kenya, na kwa hivyo ni haki ya kila Mkenya including serikali na upinzani kuhakikisha kwamba we are pushing one of our own. Manake Raila Odinga atakapopata nafasi ya kuketi kile kiti kama mwenyekiti, watasema kiongozi kutoka taifa la Kenya. Na ndiposa kwa AU mtu hajipresent peke yake kama individual, unapresentiwa, unakuwa nominated kama candidate wa taifa lako, na ndiposa serikali inatuma diplomats wake kwenda kuzungumzia na kukampeinia Raila Odinga, including kutumia pesa za mlipa ushuru kama mimi na wewe kuhakikisha kwamba tuna support the initiative. Kwa hivyo sio kwamba serikali inampendekeza, ni vizuri wa Kenya waelewe kwamba we are proposing one of our own as a republic, as a nation. Number 2 ni ya Haiti mission alizungumzia. Wajua nilisema pale tulipoanza mwanzo, ni vizuri wa Kenya waelewa kwamba Kenya ni member, ni signatory kwa global ama international bodies kama United Nation, na chini ya United Nation tuko na UN Security Council, ambapo Kenya hata wakati fulani tulitunukiwa nafasi ya kuongoza hiyo Security Council. So wakati ambapo kuna need internationally, licha ya kuwa tuko na mahitaji yetu, lakini lazima tuchangie kwa sababu we are signatories. Ni vizuri wa Kenya waelewe.
Mheshimiwa, ningependa uchangie katika swala hili la pili la kwa nini serikali itume polisi Haiti, na swala la ukosefu wa usalama maeneo ya Baringo na sehemu zingine imekuwa kwa sana, na hili swala limezungumziwa na limeulizwa sana. Mbona tuangalie nje kwanza na ukundani kidogo tuna matatizo?
Sisi tumepinga msimamo wa serikali wa kutuma askari wetu Haiti. Lakini serikali iko na numbers katika bunge. Sisi tumekataa, lakini wao wametekeleza kwa sababu inasemekana kwa Kiingereza the majority will have their way and the minority will have their say. So ni swala ambalo tumepinga, na inaonekana wazi kwamba kutokana na waziri mkuu wa hiyo nchi kujiuzulu, kuna haja ya serikali yetu kuangalia swala hili upya, ili tuhakikishe kwamba askari polisi wetu wanawekwa kwa yale zile shida ambazo zinakumba nchi kwanza kabla ya kwenda kuchangia shida za nchi zingine. Ndio.
Nataka tumalizie na swala la gharama ya maisha, na hatuwezi kosa kugusia hilo, manake hii kamati ya uwiano ilipobuniwa kabla ya ripoti kutokea, kitu kimoja ambacho wanazimia walikuwa nakisukuma sana ni shughulikia gharama ya maisha, na alijitokeza sana. Na alipokuwa anapokea ile ripoti, Raila nafikiri alisema kwamba swala hili la gharama ya maisha tumeachia administration iliyoko kwa sasa, ama serikali iliyoko kwa sasa. Mwananchi labda atarajie nini kutoka katika hii ripoti, japo katika masuala yake ya gharama ya maisha, ambalo ni swala ambalo anazungumzia usiku na mchana, kwamba gharama ya maisha kidogo bado inazidi kudorora?
Serikali iliomba kwamba ipetiwe nafasi ya kuliangazia swala hilo la gharama ya maisha. Unajua negotiations zozote ziko na give and take. Kuna ile ambayo unakubali, kuna ile ambayo wanakupatia, na kuna ile ambayo pia unawapatia. Kinara wetu alisema kwamba serikali imemwomba ya kwamba wamruhusu serikali time ili serikali iangazie swala hilo. Kumbuka serikali ndio iko na jukumu ya kuhakikisha kwamba kodi inashushwa, uzalishaji wa nchi unapelekwa juu, bei ya mafuta inashushwa. Katika ile spirit ya give and take, ikiwa kinara wetu aliona ni sawa aruhusu serikali muda kidogo ili serikali iangazie swala hili, sioni kama kuna shida yoyote. Nakumbuka kwamba kinara wetu alisema this is still a debt that the government owes kwa wananchi, na kwamba ni swala ambalo yeye mwenyewe litasalia katika akili yake, na atahakikisha kwamba atalirejelea ili kwa kushinikiza serikali bado kuhakikisha kwamba muda ule ambao atakaoipatia, kwamba muda huo serikali imeutumia kwa ajili ya kupunguza gharama ya maisha kwa wananchi.
Kwa hivyo kwa sasa tutasikia labda niruhusu kutumia neno upinzani wakisukuma sana kuhusu masuala ya gharama ya maisha, kwa sababu kinara amesema kwamba serikali imemwomba washughulikie. Kwa hivyo tutasikia mkizungumzia masuala ya gharama ya maisha. Lazima
tulizungumzie. Lazima upinzani tuendelee kuzungumza swala hili, lakini tumekubali kwamba ukiwa wanahitaji muda, wamekuwa na muda wa zaidi ya mwaka 1.5 na wataruhusiwa muda zaidi ili kuhakikisha kwamba they put their house in order, ili kusuluhisha swala hili ambalo wananchi wanalitarajia linafaa kuangaziwa sana. Ndio.
Okay. Bwana Lulu, nataka tumalize. Najua pia kunafaa kuwa tuzungumzie masuala ya ile tume ambayo inafaa kudhibiti vyama vya kisiasa na kadhalika, lakini muda utaturuhusu. Lakini kwa sababu ya muda nataka tamatishe tu, Wakenya watarajie nini kulingana na kutoka kwa hii ripoti? Kuna haki ambayo watahisi ya kwamba angalau hatimaye tumepata kile ambacho tulisubiri? Tutaona kwamba tutakuwa na matatizo kuelekea mbele, masuala ya uchaguzi na kadhalika. Mkenya, mzungumzie Mkenya ambaye anakutizama na kusikiliza.
Ieleweke kwanza, Wakenya hawakuwa na tatizo na serikali. Hii ilikuwa ni tatizo ya wanasiasa na hasa viongozi wa Azimio. Na kama ni viongozi wa Azimio kuweza kupata kitu, nadhani watatarajia kupata kile ambacho wameomba pale, lakini kuna changamoto kiasi. Jambo ambalo Mkenya angependa kusikia ni jambo ambalo umeuliza kuhusiana na gharama ya maisha, ambapo kwa njia moja au nyingine, kama walikuwa twisted or whatever happened, I don't know, lakini for some reason tactically ili haikuenda kwa hiyo ripoti mambo ya gharama ya maisha, na serikali inatumia hiyo kusema kwamba hii ni jukumu letu, tutashughulikia kadri ya uwezo wetu. Na ni ukweli serikali imekuwa ikishughulika, kwa sababu unga imeteremka bei, mafuta imekuwa ikirudi chini. Mheshimiwa anajua bei ya mafuta imekuwa ikirudi chini, na hata huu mwezi bado itarudi chini. Kwa hivyo serikali inafanya sehemu yake, lakini kwa hii ripoti, hii haikuwa ripoti na mahitaji ya Wakenya, ilikuwa ni mahitaji ya wanasiasa kwenye mrengo wa Azimio, ambapo waliketi na serikali wakaanza kuzungumza, kunegotiate. Ndipo nasikia kiongozi wa Azimio anasema no document is perfect, na akamalizia akisema at least tuko na kitu cha kuanzia. Maana yake yake kama ni kwenda moving forward, ako na agenda ambayo atatumia kupush narrative ya upinzani should he fail to go to African Union. Lakini mimi na taifa la Kenya na uongozi wote nadhani wanaomba baba afanikiwe kwenda African Union, akuwe president wa Afrika.
Okay. Mheshimiwa, tumalize na wewe. Kuna kitu unataka kumpinga Lulu kwa sekunde chache tu, alafu
Lulu sijui anaishi
kauli yako kwa wananchi kuhusiana na hii ripoti. Siku hizo 45 tusubiri na tarajieni.
Kusema kwamba wananchi hawajakuwa na shida na serikali si jambo ambalo ni la ukweli. Wananchi wamesongwa na gharama ya maisha, wananchi wanaumia. Kila kitu Kenya ile walikuwa nasema bottom up, ilikuwa kodi bottom, lakini ende up, bei ya mafuta bottom up. Serikali japokuwa haijalipatia swala hili la gharama ya maisha kipaumbele, isikuwe contented, isikuwe comfortable. Ifikirie kwa sababu kinara wa Azimio amesema kwamba wako na muda wa kuamua iwapo watapunguza gharama ya maisha. Tutafika kura za 2027. Ikiwa gharama ya maisha itakuwa katika level ambayo iko sasa, wananchi I think wataiadhibu hii serikali. So as much as the NADCO report imeleta mapendekezo ya mfumo wa uongozi kubadilishwa, mambo ya IBC kuangaliwa na uchaguzi ule kuangaliwa, serikali bado ikumbuke kwamba wananchi wanateseka sana, wananchi wanaumia kutokana na gharama hiyo ya maisha, na kuna haja ya kodi kupunguzwa, kodi ya mafuta, mambo mengi ipunguzwe ili Wakenya waweze kujimudu kimaisha. Ndio.
Asante. Nafikiri tutakomea hapo kwa leo kwa sababu ya muda. Mtazamaji na msikilizaji, shukrani sana kutenga muda kuwa pamoja nasi. Itifaki zote zimezingatiwa, na shukrani sana mwelekezo wangu Bwana Onditi, Nancy na wapiga picha na kila mmoja ambaye amefanikisha shughuli hii nzima ya Gumzo Pevu Jumanne ya leo. Hadi juma lijalo, imekuwa ni fahari. Endelea kutazama Channel 1 na vile kusikiliza Radio Taifa, sauti ya Mkenya. Upande wa pili, Rashid.
Asante Dora, kwaherini. Kwa sasa ni taarifa ya habari.
Watakupa kitu gani? Wamejiandaa namna gani? Tukae kitako, tujifunze. Tukae kitako, tuelimike.
Mtazamaji, uko tayari?
Jitihada wanazoweka hakuna kupingana nami. Hijabu pambo la mke duniani na peponi.
Ni kweli matumizi ya mitandao yameathiri maadili katika jamii.
Mitandao imewafanya vijana wetu kuwa kama watumwa wa hiyo mitandao.
Wanafunzi wakienda likizo, walimu wapatia kazi ya ziada kupitia mtandao ya kijamii kama vile WhatsApp.
Alonso, just forget that woman, please. It's not that easy to me here.
There are moments in life, Sergio, when we must bet all or nothing. You know, I think it's about time for me to become a widow.
You don't know me yet. But if someone ever betrays me, I will take it as far as I can go.
No, I don't believe you. Go look for Betsabeth. Look for her. I'm pretty sure that she wouldn't like the fact that you're cheating on her with me.
I saw him with my own eyes with Milena, the wife of my father. It would have been one thing to cheat on me with another woman, but with her, with that wretched woman? No way, I can't take that. I can't forgive him.
The program continues. This is Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for staying with us. Today being a Tuesday, then you know it is Health Tuesday. And today I am joined by an orthopedic surgeon. His name is Dr. Wasena Angira. Dr. Wasena Angira is currently the Chief Orthopedic Surgeon at St. Peter's Orthopedics and Surgical Specialty Hospital, and he is here to just talk to us about matters orthopedics, you know, the bones, the muscles, the joints, the tendons, you name it. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm fine, thank you. And how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. If we may just go directly to you explaining to us what orthopedics is all about.
Thank you for this opportunity to share with the public matters orthopedics. As you mentioned, my name is Dr. Wasena. I'm an orthopedic surgeon at St. Peter's Orthopedics. And so we deal with everything matters, bones, muscles, joints, and everything related to it. So as an orthopedic surgeon, our main focus is musculoskeletal issues, musculoskeletal illness. So that is muscles, and skeleton, and so we deal with issues like our day-to-day matter. We deal with this, like in Kenya, the most common thing we do is treating fractures. As you know, one of the biggest causes of disabilities in Kenya is road traffic accidents. And the road traffic accident will result into fractures, and fractures will lead into disability. So as an orthopedic surgeon, our role is to say, so these fractures happen, how do we manage it? Do we manage it conservatively, or do we manage it operatively? And yeah, so that's one of the key issues, key areas as an orthopedic surgeon. The other key areas we deal with the joints. So people with hip pain, knee pain, basically all joints can become painful. And lastly, the most common thing we get in our area right now is back issue. So there are quite a number of patients or people living with back issues. And that's one of the areas that is really rising in Kenya, back pain.
Yeah. Maybe what are the types of orthopedics?
It's really, the subspecialties of orthopedics are quite diverse. As I say, you can specialize in fractures, that is trauma, and you can specialize in sports. So people who have who get into sports, you've heard of maybe a player who has injured their knee. You'll hear them talking of maybe something like a meniscus tear. Those are sports people. So those are sports orthopedic surgeons. And then we have children who are either born with problems like so those are pediatric orthopedic surgeons. So like there are these children who are either born with club foot. I don't know if you've ever seen these children who are born with their leg twisted. So if they are not attended in time, like I remember when we were growing up in our village, I used to see these people who walk with their leg curved, and I didn't know actually that was a problem that could have been solved when they're young. So those are pediatric orthopedic surgeons who deal with such cases. There are quite a number of deformities that children can be born with, from all the way from their back to their legs to their hands. So as a pediatric orthopedic surgeon, you try to capture them when they're still young, and when you capture them when they're still young, you can actually correct
So some of them are actually reversible, because I know I've seen people with, the bow-legged legs. Is it something that is reversible, as you said?
Yes. So the good thing with advances in healthcare and in our country is that we are able to capture these children earlier on, and this prevents deformities or problems that could arise later on in their lives. Like if you've seen these children with who have bow leg or who have knocked knees, if we capture them earlier on, we don't even need to do surgery. Some of these children, there's something we create for them, something called orthosis. There's a special form of either boots or special form of a gadget we put on their legs, on their knees, that will correct those knees with time. So if they are captured in time, you don't need to even do surgery. If they come late is when now they probably need surgery. So some of this, as I said, advances in orthopedic surgeries, for example, pediatric surgery, help us to capture these children early. So actually, this high time we tell our mothers out there that if you see your child with a deformity, you don't need to hide that child. You don't need to feel like you've born somebody with a disability. You need to bring that child earlier on to the hospital, and so that we do corrective measures, and your child will be able to walk well like every other children who are born normally. So this pediatrics, that's the sector for pediatric orthopedic surgeons, are able to see and capture this deformity earlier and correct them earlier. Yeah, so as I said, there are several branches of orthopedic surgery that we probably may not get into.
We may not have the time to get into.
And there are also orthopedic surgeons who are just specialized on the spine. And so they manage spine. If you have spine deformity, like the children who are born with something called scoliosis or kyphosis, their spine is curved. I don't know if you've ever seen some children with either, or some people even grown up, if they're not captured in time, they walk
a bit bent.
Completely. And or there are some who walked when they're curved. So those are the spine orthopedic surgeons are able to capture those and correct those ones, especially if they are captured at an earlier stage. The correction is really, really better than when they are later in life.
Yeah, and still in line with that, does one need to have warning signs for you to go see an orthopedic? Because, for example, say like cancer, we are asked to go for screening, regular screening, Don't wait until you get the signs and symptoms of it. You go for screenings. Is it the same thing with this? Because can someone like me just decide I want to go see an orthopedic just to check if everything is all right?
The good thing with orthopedic in our area is that we usually joke, we have a joke in medical school that among us all cadres or specialties of medicine, orthopedics is the most direct, is the easiest one. If you either have a fracture or you have pain or you have deformity, the problem is waiting for it to progress. So if you have back pain, there's no really big warning sign. Just the fact they have back pain, you need to see an orthopedic surgeon. And that will help you in that it can just be a simple change of your sitting position. Just an advice on how to manage your posture, and advice on how, if you are doing manual work, how do you sweep the floor, how do you carry the heavy luggage, how do you basically manage yourself on a day-to-day activity. So there is no like a big warning sign like, hey, go see, there's something subtle. No. Orthopedics really, you either have a deformity or you have pain.
Okay.
So the thing is, go and see an orthopedic surgeon early enough so that you can prevent progress of that condition.
Yeah, but that's only if there's something that is hurting. Like for myself right now, I'm not hurting anywhere, so I don't really need to.
You don't need to see another. There's no red flag.
Yeah.
There's no red flag. For orthopedic surgeon, it's really straightforward. You either have pain or deformity. The problem is when you have the pain or the deformity and you relax. Like most people will tell you unless you're lucky you don't have this, but most people who are working in offices will have some form of back pain, for example, or they will have some form of heel pain. For ladies who maybe put on high heel shoes, they'll have some form of heel pain. So when they start developing that heel pain or pain on their foot, some will neglect it, and then with time it will become a bigger problem that now will not be solved in a conservative way. So most of the time is the small thing that we assume. If you, for example, go to the gym and you start developing some knee pain, it is good to come and see a doctor and say, hey, I'm having this knee pain. What could be the issue? Probably just the change of your exercise pattern or change of your of the exercises that you're doing. Probably you're too aggressive. Like the other day I was seeing this lady who was having some knee pain, and she's been going to the gym and she's noticed that her knee is becoming painful every time she's from the gym, or nowadays when she's climbing stairs she gets this pain. And after just taking the small history, I realized she does not do stretching before and after the workout. She goes straight into her workout, and after that she goes straight into showering and leave. So just simple stretching, and because there's a need for, you need to stretch before you go for your workout, and even after workout you need to stretch to relax your muscles, and therefore it prevents developing those kind of problems that may even become a major problem later on. So just changing the focus of her workout is going to prevent her developing problems in the near future. Yeah, so it is just one or two, it's just the small things here that we do that will make a big difference in later on. So as an orthopedic surgeon, we need to just generally the public need to know that, hey, there are these one or two things that we are doing this way. If we do them this way, it will make a big difference. For example, teachers develop arthritis of their shoulder and their elbows. So later on, after they retire, they start developing shoulder pain, and it becomes shoulder arthritis that will probably need now shoulder replacement. So we advise teachers, for example, when you're writing on that blackboard, you need to
there needs to be a way.
Yes,
right?
Yes, because you know when you're doing an overhead activity, you're straining your shoulder because you're lifting it for a longer period of time. So we need to tell them, hey, when you lift it, when you overwhelm any part of your body, it will bring you a problem later on. So there need to be a balance of it. Yes.
All right, and on that note, we take a very short break. Don't you go too far. We'll be back to continue with this conversation.
KBC Channel 1 imeandaa vipindi spesheli katika mwezi mtukufu wa Ramadhan mwaka huu kwa ajili yako.
Allahu Akbar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Kando na ukumbi wa Kiislamu na hutuba ya Ijumaa, kutakuwa na makala yanayoangazia maswala ya funga, mawaidha,
whosoever witnesses the month of Ramadan, then he should fast.
Vipindi vya mapishi.
Katika mapishi ya Ramadhani tutatayarisha pilau ya korosho. Utahitaji viazi, vitunguu vinne vikubwa, na zabibu
na kaswida mbali. Pia tumekuandalia kalenda ya Ramadhan ili kukuweka kwenye mstari wa mbele katika funga yako. Tazama runinga ya KBC Channel 1 katika mwezi huu mtukufu wa Ramadhan ili kukuza na kuhifadhi imani yako.
Can't put back a foot in at the Rastaman villa. She's just a sweet killer.
How could you call me when you know I can't answer your phone? Make me lie when I don't want to. Make someone else some kind of unknown fool.
This is a very exciting moment, not just for Naivasha, not just for the county of Nakuru, but also for Kenya.
Okay, ready? Ready.
This thing is crazy. I mean, the sheer speed, you can hardly see the road. These guys are really professional. It's really something out of this world. Ask me whether I want to do this again? I'm not sure.
Thank you for staying with us. Now, before we took that break, you had explained quite a lot on matters of orthopedics, and there's something you touched on, but you touched on it in passing, and I want to take you back there. Heels, you know, high heels. Most of us ladies put on high heels. Is it a recipe for disaster in the future? You know, for someone who's used to wearing high heels on a daily basis, is it something to worry about?
Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, yes. There is a way our body is meant to be. There's a way our body is meant to be. There's a way our body is meant to have some form of curvature. So just going back to the heel, the way our body, the foot is made anatomically, is that there is in front there are toes, then there is in the middle there's a certain curvature, and then behind here there's a thick pad on our toe, below our the area we call calcaneus. So there's something called a fascia that stretches from your toes to the back of your feet. So there is the more you put the high heels, the more you stretch that fascia, and the more you stretch it, the more it will get tired, quote unquote. It will get tired, and it will give in. So with time, somebody will start having the foot pain, and it's a very common problem. But what I usually advise ladies is, because there's a balance between beauty and pain. There's a way high heel brings some beauty, and there's a way it also creates some elegance on a lady.
It does.
Yes, it does. So the advice usually, like after putting on high heels for about 2 hours, it's good to have, I usually tell ladies this, it's good to have an extra shoes in your bag. So after putting your high heels for like 2 hours, you put on flat shoes. But again, it should not be flat. When you look, the best form of shoes is shoes with a little bit on the back. It should be a little bit raised.
That's
like,
for both genders now.
For both genders. It's nice, like you know, our sports shoes. It has a little bit, it's raised slightly. Like even in school shoes, there's it's raised a little bit behind on the back, just of the foot. So that is the way our feet should be. So that's the right form of shoes we should need to put on. So even when so I usually don't, when you put on like the slippers, the flat shoes for long, you'll get pain. And also the high heels will cause you to have pain. So the best is to just have shoes with just slightly raised.
Like an inch?
Like an inch, yes, yes. Okay. Just take the normal sport shoes. That is the right. So even if you have an open shoes, get one that has
it's a bit raised.
A bit raised.
Okay.
Because when it is too flat, again, it's training that fascia. When it's too high, it's training the fascia. So have a balance between your beauty and take care of your heels. So put your shoes for 2 hours max, then put on your right shoes that has some slight platform.
Okay.
Yes.
Advice taken. Says someone with heels on. Anyway, what are some of the risk factors for the common conditions that you treat?
As I said, the orthopedic surgery or orthopedic cases are so broad, extremely broad, from back issues to hip issues to knee to feet, and the risk factors are as diverse as the specialties are. So, however, at St. Peter's, the most common condition we treat, of course, is fractures. And the risk factors for fractures are again broad. From for people who are young, of course, the most common cause of their fractures is accident, which is from road traffic accident. Number one, of course, is border, and our cars or buses. So I think that's a bit difficult to say there's a way you can stop getting a fracture. But now for the older people, there's a very, especially for people who are post-menopause, Ladies who are, especially ladies who are on their from 50 and above, they get fractures along on their wrist and their hip. So to prevent those fractures from occurring, of course, is to just take care that you don't, and I advise this for people, for the older people who are on their, from 60s and above, things like you avoid your washroom or your bathroom being slippery, or basically avoid things that may cause you to fall. Just try as much as possible to prevent fall, because if you fall from your 60s and above, the chance of fracturing your hip is very high, and wrist, because that's very common. Also advise them to take, this supplement should not be for everyone. I see everybody taking supplements currently, which is not a very good thing. But for ladies who are postmenopausal, I usually advise them to take vitamin D and calcium supplements. That is very, very important, especially if you have either you are big, like you have a big body size. It's very good to take, it's advisable to take vitamin D and calcium supplements, especially for ladies, because when you're postmenopause, there are hormones that helps ladies to absorb the calcium, and that is not present when they are postmenopause, for postmenopausal ladies. So it's good to take vitamin D and calcium and just stay active. Take a walk. Don't just, even if you're old, don't just sit and relax. Just take a walk, because that will make your bone be strong. The other common thing I've realized is an accident that occurs more often and people don't talk about it is in the toilet. And some people, instead of going to sit on the toilet, they go and stand or sit. I mean, instead of sitting like on the toilet seat, they go and put their leg on the toilet. Yes. And a number of them get an accident and they tear their, what you call the Achilles tendon. Just on the back of your leg, there is a muscle there. So we see a number of patients who have come with a torn Achilles tendon. So when sitting, literally sitting on top of the toilet seat.
And this happens in public
slide.
toilets, maybe because they don't want to be in touch with the surface of the
They slide and then they injure that part. It's a very common cause of, is a common injury that most people...
That's a common injury?
Yes, it's actually a common injury that we see at our hospitals. As an orthopedic surgeon, we see quite a number. When you see patients with that torn Achilles tendon, yes, you are hurt in the toilet, like, So that's really a common thing. So that's just on that. But as I said, the risk factors are broad.
They're really broad.
They are really
we can't
broad.
really
We
go
can't
into
really
all of them.
Go into it. Something that is worth also mentioning is, I insist on the back, because it is something that we can prevent, yet it's something that we don't. And once you start getting back issue, you get into other problems that may become, I mean, you don't want to get spine surgery. So the best way of preventing that risk factor, I insist, if you work in the office, you need to know how to sit well.
Actually, I want us to get into that, because you've mentioned teachers, some of the occupations that may lead to some of these problems. So if you may just take us through some of these occupations that probably we don't know about, or we assume, that, and what to do to try not, get such conditions.
So as I said, if you sit in the office for long hours, you'll probably, you need to check how you're sitting, because your sitting position or the kind of seat you're having will result probably into give you back issues.
Yeah.
If you watch nowadays, there's this Netflix and chills, like you watch movies for long, so you will probably sleep or slouch on your couch, and by the time after the long weekend, by Monday you'll have problems with your back.
What's the proper way of sitting? Like on this chair, how am I supposed to be sitting on it to avoid back issues?
Just the same way you're sitting straight, and if possible you put something on behind the lower part of your back to push it in front. Yeah, that is, and people who work in the offices tend to slouch in front and have their like people who work with the computers, they tend to get pain with their fingers. Or even you remember when they used to have secretaries, most of them currently come to the hospital with problems with their fingers. They feel pain on their fingers because they've been typing for so long. So there is a way you need to sit. When you're facing your computer, you need to put your neck and your back in a certain way. As I mentioned again, teachers have problems with their shoulder. So I advise teachers, and even when we talk to a number of schools, to make that blackboard be in a comfortable position so that they don't lift their leg for their hands and their shoulders for long. Other things are manual. People who do manual work, they need to be trained, and a number of companies have started to train their workers on the proper way of lifting weight, because they lift that weight for so long. When they, after working for like 3-4 years, they start getting problems. So different occupations have different kind of they're predisposed to different injuries. So long as there's a repetitive action, it causes a problem. Yes.
So I want us to look at a scenario where an accident has happened. You know, what is the first step that one should do, maybe as an emergency, that will not maybe even cause more harm when we're looking at fractures maybe that might have been caused from the accident and so on, maybe just first aid?
Okay. So at St. Peter's, we are located along the highway. So one of the activities we've been doing is working close with the border people and the local community, especially the border, to train them on how to handle emergencies at accident site. And when an accident happens, one of the things that can occur is there can be a bleeding, or there's a bleeding from the injury. What we've seen people doing is to take maybe soil or something to put on that place so that it stops bleeding. And that basically becomes a problem to us, because this soil and all that will be cross infection on the bone. So when there is a bleeding, just take any, of course you may not have a sterile or something that is sterile glove or sterile gauze or anything sterile, but you're just advised to put pressure, to take that cloth and just put it, where there is bleeding, put pressure on it, just press it for long. And it is not advisable, and we've seen this again, when there is bleeding, somebody goes above where there is the fracture, and if you know bladder, they tie up something tight so that it prevents bleeding to continue. And that is very dangerous, because if you leave that for long, there's no blood flow to the other part of the body, and therefore that part of the body will actually die. So the first aid, number one is when there is bleeding, just put pressure. Take any form of clothing and tie at the place where there is bleeding. Just tie it so that there's pressure to it. Then if there is anything that is firm, like a cardboard or anything wooden, just put on that place where there's a fracture and tie it so that that does not move. If a patient is, for example, hurt and is lying flat, don't go and carve that patient or hold that patient in a rough way. There are cases where when you get an injury, somebody is injured on the spine. And when you go and carve that person, and probably the spine, so in the spine there's something called the spinal cord that's running from the brain all the way. And that is what transmits the nerves or makes the communication from the periphery to the brain. So if somebody is injured and you're at the site, don't just go and hold that person and grab them or carve them, because that may cause further injury to the spine, and that will cause complete paralysis. And you remember, if they are paralyzed, there is no way of recovering, because most of the time they come late. So the best we tell, when you get somebody at the scene of accident, just hold them. Get at least be 2 or 3 people and hold them the way they are. And usually, if you don't have, of course, a troll, some way of just get like a cloth and make that cloth be large enough, and then carry them, the 3 people. Somebody protecting the neck, somebody protecting the back, and somebody protecting the leg, and carry them, handle them with a lot of care, because if you just mishandle them a bit, it causes a big difference. Because somebody is probably having a spine problem, and you just go and twist them. Like I've seen people, there's an accident, and then they just carry them and load them into the matatu, or in whichever form of means to rush them to the hospital. You are finishing that person. So just carry them and put them on a larger surface, like a clothing, and now carry them on that clothing and to the hospital.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. As we get to wind up on this particular conversation, maybe what are some of the lifestyle changes that we should adapt to avoid, seeing you, the orthopedic?
Number one is just to take care of our posture. Lifestyle changes that we need to take care of our posture. Weight management. We can prevent so many things with weight management, because the bigger you are, the more strain you put on your body. That is your back, your hips, your knees. So even some patients who come with this knee pain or hip pain, and they are a bit big or they're obese, I just tell them to just reduce, and that changes will stop them from seeing us. Food, too much of alcohol and nyama choma will cause you to have other problems like gout, and of course gout, will make you see yes.
Yeah.
Exercise. With more and more people having vehicles and using public transport, or using, basically, we've stopped walking.
Yeah.
And our work requires you to be dropped at work. You work in the office and then go back to your couch, and therefore there's no form of exercise, and that makes your bone to be weak, and you, of course, to gain more. So even if there's the routine, there's a recent study that was shown that per week, if you have a 45 to 60 minutes of workout, it's just enough per week. So just ensure that at least you walk any form of exercise, even walking for 20 minutes every day will gives you that, will be enough exercise for you. So just have a routine of just doing something active for 20 minutes every day. That will prevent a person from coming to see us. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Doc, for joining us for this particular conversation. Thank you for opening our eyes around it. And I am sure that everyone who is watching us from home, at least they know how to prevent, you know, how to try and prevent some of these common cases that you have just mentioned that you get to deal with on a daily at your hospitals. And yeah, let's just do the right way. If something can be prevented, let's try and prevent it so that we avoid getting to see doctors. Thank you so much, and we hope to have you back on the show so that we can talk about it extensively, because it's a very wide topic, as we've mentioned, and we can't finish speaking about everything today. All right, this is where we end Good Morning Kenya for today. Thank you so much to each and every one of you who has been tuned in on the show. On behalf of everyone on set today, and on behalf of everyone on the behind the scenes, we want to wish you a lovely day. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. See you tomorrow.
Can't put back a foot in at the Rasta man villa. She's just a sweet killer, sweet killer.